Good evening, everybody. If you can hear me and I'm audible, please just type in a yes into the chat so I know that we are all together. Over 200 people on the call. Fantastic. Thanks, Bimbo, Caroline, or Caroline, depending on how you pronounce Adekunle. Absolutely fantastic. We're going to have an amazing time today, and I'll be walking you through how to get into the tech ecosystem. Most of the time, the challenges people face is, I've always done finance in the past. How do I transition? I've always done logistics. How do you leverage your previous experience? And I'll be sharing that with everybody on the call today. For those of you who are currently in different regions in the UK, in Canada, in the US, across Africa, how can you get this done? And how has Tenalytics helped people in the past to also get the same thing done? Just before we start, I would like to know where you are joining us from. All right, so just type in the chat where you are joining us from. You are joining from Lagos, Nigeria, from London in the UK, from Michigan in the US, Sweden, Stella, Johannesburg, UK, Lagos, Arizona. Absolutely fantastic. London, UK, Mozambique, Saskatchewan, Canada, Paris, France. And this is the beauty of having a virtual session like this. You get to interact with your contemporaries and your counterparts from across the globe. And we're going to have an amazing time, like I said. And let's get started. Okay, let us get started. I also want to know if this is your first time of joining a Tenalytics session. If you are joining us for the very first time, type in a yes into the chat. Just type in a yes if this is your first time. Okay, we have a lot of first timers. You're all welcome to the session today. Now let's get started. All right, and I'll drive my session today. And I want our session to be very interactive as much as possible. So feel free to ask as many questions. We'll have a Q&A session towards the end, but feel free to still drop your questions in the chat from time to time, and I'll pick and answer questions as the session goes on. Okay, like I said, this is where you want to be if you want to get into the tech ecosystem. And I'll be sharing practical, real-life experiences with everybody today. But let's get to know who Tenalytics is and what we are all about. All right? Okay, so I'll share my slides and then we will dive into the reason why we are here today. So how do you secure tech jobs? How do you get into data analytics, data science, and different other career paths? Or what should you even look out for when diving into the tech ecosystem, especially for those of you in the UK, the US, in Canada? You've done something back home, but now you're in a new economy, you're in a new environment, and you don't know what to do. You hear so many things. People talk about the UK work experience, the Canadian work experience, the US work experience. How do you navigate that path? First of all, we are Tenalytics, an educational technology company, and the focus for us is to help Africans and people of the Black community to get into the tech ecosystem. And the way we do this is by providing you with cutting-edge, the best-in-class training services across different areas, from data analytics to data science to data engineering, and so on and so forth, depending on where you want to get into. Over the last 4 years, we've been able to help over 2,000 people transition from the classroom to getting their first jobs. And these are people with no experience, fresh out of either the university or currently doing something in a different career path. So a customer service professional, a care worker for those in the health and care sector. How have we been able to help people transition? And that's what we stand for at Tenalytics. It goes beyond learning the technical skill. You also have to learn something else that will make you competitive out there. Now, who will be leading the session today? I'll be leading the session. My name is Adeza Suleiman. I'm a technology expert. I started my career in management consulting, but then I transitioned into data analytics along the line. I've had close to over a decade years of experience in data analytics and management consulting, and my focus has been on helping organizations to make sense of the data that they have. I've worked as a data science consultant in the UK and in the US. I've worked with one of the largest privately owned energy conglomerates in sub-Saharan Africa. And I've also worked as a data and analytics consultant with FITC, owned by the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Bankers Committee. And over the last decade of my career, I've been able to help over 2,000 people using Tenalytics as a platform to landing their first jobs in the tech ecosystem. I've worked in energy, I've worked in automobile in the UK, I've worked in financial services, I've worked in sports. I currently reside in Alberta, Canada, and also work as a contractor for businesses here in Canada. And I'll be sharing my experience, like I mentioned. First things first, I have no degree and no background in tech. My first degree was in industrial chemistry, just like so many of you. You studied physiology, you studied history, you studied chemistry, you studied engineering, but now you want to transition into tech. How do you do that? And I'll be sharing those practical, real-life experiences and practical steps that will help you get your journey started. Okay, so our session today would center around 4 key areas. Number 1 would be, how can you secure tech jobs available in your region based on where you are? You're in Africa, you're in Nigeria, in Ghana, South Africa, you are in Mozambique, you are in Ireland, in Scotland, somewhere in Glasgow or Edinburgh, you are in the US, you are in Saskatchewan, you are in Alberta, you are in Edmonton. How can you get jobs in your specific region? And how do you leverage your previous experience? Because most of the challenges people have is, how do I convert my 10 years working in the bank? How do I transition into a business analyst role? That's a major challenge that people have. But the answer is very simple, and I'll be sharing what you need to do to ensure you get that sorted out. Secondly, I'll walk you through the different pathways within the tech ecosystem and how they would help you in securing a job the fastest. Tech is very broad, and you want to be sure what you are getting into. Very important. So do you just select different career paths because a lot of people are talking about it? Or what's your rationale to selecting or picking the career path you want to move into? Thirdly, we'd move into the Tenalytics growth internship, our growth internship program, and how that plays a fundamental role in you making that transition eventually. And finally, we'll talk about the upcoming program we have starting on the 8th of June and the special offer we have for you, for those of you joining us today. Like I mentioned earlier, it's always good to see people that have done things you're trying to do. You want to move into tech. You currently are in the UK. You've gone to do your master's. And very quickly, you find out that I'm not going to learn the skills that will get me the job after my master's program. How do I transition from my tier 4 student visa to a tier 2 skilled worker visa? Or you're in Canada, you are doing a master's program, a postgraduate certificate, and you know that by the time you are done, you need to get a job out there, a job that is relevant and a job that is also progressive. It's good to see people that have done the same things you are trying to do. So I'm going to start the session today by walking you through very quick success stories about 4 people that have done the same things you will be trying to do today, okay? And before we dive into these 4 people, it always seems impossible until it is done. A lot of people who are currently in the health and care, you work in the warehouse, you currently do something different, you find it very difficult to understand, how do I transition and how do I make that switch? So let's see some success stories very quickly. Firstly, I'm going to introduce you to an amazing lady. Her name is Abigail. Abigail joined our business analysis program. Abigail worked as a care worker. She worked in the care sector. She worked as a carer in Canada. Abigail joined the business analysis program and moved from being a care worker to becoming a business analyst, working with the government of Alberta and working with them as a business analyst after completing our business analysis program. Today, Abigail moved from where she used to live to Edmonton, Alberta, to work with the government of Alberta as a business analyst. Moving from what? Being a carer to a business analyst. Now, this is one. Secondly, you have somebody like Toyin. Toyin moved to the UK for her master's program. Toyin had a background in pharmacy. She was a pharmacist back in Nigeria, but very quickly she realized that I need to transition into the tech ecosystem. These are where the opportunities are. What do I need to do? She joined our data analytics program, and today, Toyin transitioned from pharmacy, a background in pharmacy, to becoming a benefits analyst in the UK. So Toyin is a benefits analyst today, working with the NHS. And our role also came with full visa sponsorship, which is what everybody wants to get at the end of the day. You want to complete your program, move from a tier 4 to a tier 2, so you can stay back in the UK, work for another 5 years, and you can apply for your ILR. And after 1 year on your ILR, you can then apply for citizenship. Toyin is currently on that pathway simply because she knew that she needed to get, tech-related skills. She joined data analytics program with us at Analytics, completed the program, and today she works with the NHS, and her job came with full visa sponsorship. Now, one of our newly minted data analysts, Anointing Stephen. Stephen just last week started a new role as a data analyst, and he transitioned from working as a customer service representative. Now, I want you to pay attention to the background, their previous roles, and their previous career path. Abigail was a carer. Toyin was a pharmacist. Stephen was a customer rep. Today, Stephen is a data analyst. Stephen lives in Glasgow, Scotland, and today he works as a data analyst for one of the major organizations in Glasgow. This was not Stephen's first job. He joined us, got a job working as a data analyst with the Access Group in the UK, and he just got his second role, transitioning from that role as a data analyst to another data analyst role with better remuneration, better perks, and so on. You also have Nathaniel. Nathaniel is in Spain, Barcelona in Spain. He joined our data science program, and today Nathaniel works with one of the largest privately owned research pharmaceutical firms in Barcelona. All right. And finally, you have somebody like Abdul Rashid. Abdul Rashid lives in Nigeria, in Abuja, Nigeria, and he works for a company in the US. The name of the company is Child 420. He joined the data science program, and today he works as a data scientist, working remotely from Nigeria, earning in dollars and spending in Naira. Abdul Rashid never did anything data before. He was in the education sector, and Abdul Rashid transitioned from education into data science. Now, looking at all these 5 amazing professionals, I'm sure we can relate to their stories a lot easier. Just like me, myself, like I mentioned, I always did management consulting. That was my first professional job right out of the university. My first degree was in industrial chemistry, and I've had over a decade experience as a data analyst. How do you learn those skills? That's the most important question you need to ask. And how have these people been able to transition and also get a job in data analytics, data science, business analysis, and so on and so forth? Now, looking at these 5 people, I have videos for Abigail, I have videos for Toyin. So I want you to tell me, do you want to listen to Abigail or you want to listen to Toyin? Which of the two? We'll get to listen to more people as we move, later towards the end of our session. But just type into the chat, who do you want to hear from? Toyin or Abigail? Okay, everybody's saying Toyin. Abigail, Neka says Abigail. Okay. Toyin, Abigail, both. All right. So I'm also, very conscious of time, and I intend to spend nothing more than 2 hours on our session today. All right. So let's listen to Toyin. A lot of people are saying Toyin. So let's listen to Toyin very quickly. All right. So we're going to listen to Toyin, and let's hear what Toyin has to say about learning with analytics and how she's been able to transition into a data analyst role with the NHS. All right, so very quickly, I'm going to share. I'll simply click on Toyin's video and we get to listen to Toyin. And then we move into the session to know, how do you first of all select the career path you want to move into? And then what do you need to know that will make you successful? Okay, so just give me 1 second and then I'll share Tony's video and we all get to listen to Tony. So I'm going to click on this link and be rest assured that at the end of today's session, you'll get my slides. You'd have access to the recording as well. Make sure you fill the attendance form so that the recording can be sent to you at the end of today's session. So I'm going to click on the link to access Tony's video. So let's listen to Tony. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
This is how AI optimizes my skill.
Okay, so let's just rewind this a little bit. All right, so let's hear what Tony has to say. It's a very short video, 1 minute, straight to the point. Let's listen to Tony.
Hello everyone, my name is Toyin and I recently got a job as a benefits analyst in the UK. I've come from a medical background as a pharmacist who is interested in, breaking into tech. My first encounter with analytics was on LinkedIn. I joined one of their masterclass, just one masterclass where a femina spoke, and it just took that masterclass to convince me. I joined in August and a month after, I got a job. To be honest with you, every information skill that I was able to apply to get that job, I owe it to Tenalytics. Tenalytics did a great job and is still doing a great job. They groom you and nurture you from the cradle till you become confident. So my advice for you, most importantly, is join. Be integrated into a platform that empowers you and allows you to easily get that first job.
Okay, so that's Tony, very quick, straight to the point. Tony, from a medical background as a pharmacist, joined the data analytics program. Today, she got a job in the UK, working with the NHS, full visa sponsorship, amazing career path. Now, how did Tony even decide on the career path to join? And this is where I'll be walking you through what you need to do and what you need to know. Now, first of all, when it comes to tech, there are so many different career paths. And the mistake people make is they listen to their friends, their family members who probably know just as little as you know in terms of the knowledge around the tech ecosystem. It's important that you get information, you get your knowledge from experts and people that have vast experience within the space. One of the major mistakes I have people make is they join career paths that are irrelevant or would become less relevant in the next few years. But how do we know this? One of the first things we do is we do our analysis internally at Tenalytics. Every end of the year, we gather data, we scrape data from the major job boards, and we analyze the roles that have been high in demand over the last few years. All right. So for example, at the end of 2024, we would gather data from all the job boards to see which roles were so high in demand in the year 2024. And that informs the career path we want to move into. Now, in addition to that, we also use the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs reports. The Future of Jobs report shows you two things, and I'll be showing you this today. So when you're making a decision, you're doing that from the point of knowledge and from the point of understanding. At the left-hand side, you have the jobs that will grow in demand. And at the right-hand side, you have the jobs that will decline in demand. Okay, now I have kept the link for you. You have the link here. When you receive the slide, I want you to also look at this report because it's very important to you making a decision. Now, before I start showing you what career path is in demand, would grow in demand in the next 5 to 10 years, you want to pay attention to career path that will decline. So you avoid those type of career paths. One of the career paths that stood out to me when I was reading this report is the product manager role. Because I know a lot of people that want to move into product management. I know a lot of people that want to move into career path that have been clearly indicated to decline in demand. And some of you would be in a career path today, I'll be sharing with you, that would also decline in demand in the next 5 to 10 years. How do you become relevant? That's the big question. For product manager roles, for example, you have AI doing a lot of the things that you would do as a product manager. Market research, for example, can be done easily using ChatGPT, for example. I can carry out my market research, and you have so many productivity activities you can get done. And the product manager role, looking at the new technologies coming up today, would become less relevant in the next 5 years. Where are those jobs? Which career path will become, high in demand? If you want to transition today, what do you need to look at? What career path do you need to pay attention to? Number one is AI and machine learning. And when you talk about machine learning specialists, you are looking at data science roles. Okay, you are looking at what? Data science roles. I'm just going to write it here so that we all follow me closely. So when you talk about machine learning, you're talking about data science roles. And you'll see clearly today, this is a trend. This is where the jobs would be. The jobs would be in AI and machine learning. And you can see all the trends today. You have your ChatGPT, your WhatsApp now has AI embedded functions, your Instagram has Meta AI, your Google has Gemini. You have so many different platforms and AI capabilities. So you see that clearly in the next 2 to 3 years, you'll have so many roles, so many opportunities, even today, for anybody who has these skills. Number two, you have the business intelligence analysts. When you hear business intelligence, all you need to know is what? This is a data analytics, career path. Data analytics. A data analyst will do the job of a business intelligence analyst. Why? Business intelligence is SQL, structured query language, plus Power BI. All right? SQL plus Power BI. So business intelligence is equivalent to a data analyst role. So somebody who has learned data analytics skills, somebody who understands SQL, data warehouses, data warehouse concept, and Power BI can get a job as a business intelligence analyst. When it comes to information security analyst, as one of the jobs that will grow so significantly in demand in the next 5 to 10 years, I want you to tell me, can you guess any information security analyst role that comes to your mind? When you hear information security, what comes to mind? Just type it in the chat. What career path comes to mind? Somi says cybersecurity. Absolutely. Cyber what? Security. Cybersecurity is what? A part of information security. Now, organizations, we are generating data at an alarming rate. The volume and the veracity of data we generate today is unbelievable. This data needs to be protected. Systems, networks. Today, you have your data in the cloud. You have your systems, your software in the cloud. How do you protect those systems? And that's where the cybersecurity analyst comes in. Cyber security. Now you also have the data analyst and the data scientist role. And I would say the best decision I ever took in life as an adult was transitioning into data analytics about a decade ago. And even today, the data analyst and the data scientist role would still grow significantly in demand over the next 5 to 10 years. In fact, today in the UK, today across Europe, and even in the US, you have a skill shortage. You have a talent shortage for data analysts and data scientists. All right. And of course, back then, I looked at these reports in 2016. Myself and the co-founder of Tenalytics, Efemena, we learned data analytics together. Okay. And about 10 years ago, we saw this same reports and we kind of looked at it to decide which career path do we need to get into. And data science was dubbed as the sexiest job of the 21st century. It sounded very exciting. And I felt like, okay, I would rather be a part of a career path that sounds like the sexiest job of the 21st century. And that was, they say that the rest is history. And that was how we started. So even as of today, the reason why you have so much demand is simply because 90% of the data we've generated through the existence of humans, 90% of the data we have generated was generated in the last 5 to 6 years. So all the data you think you have today, 90% was generated in the last 5 to 6 years. So you have organizations needing professionals that can help them manage this data, structure this data, analyze this data, and make sense of the data that they generate. Data in itself is useless until you can extract information from that data. And I equate it to crude oil. Crude oil is useless in its raw form until you refine that crude oil and you can extract other products, your petroleum products, your jet fuel, and so on and so forth. And that's why you'd see data analysts, the data scientist role would always be in high demand. You have the big data specialists, you have the data engineers, and you have the data architects. Now you'd see the career path of a data architect. Now you become confused. Do I need to join a data architect training to become a data architect? Do I need to join a big data specialist training to become a big data specialist? But the answer is no. So what are these career paths all about? A big data engineer or a big data specialist is somebody that works with large volume of data. How do you move and manage huge volume of data? If you look at the 5 V's, you have what? Volume. So when you have data from different sources, where do you put that data? How do you manage the data? That is the role of a data engineer. Okay, a data engineer. So as a data engineer, you are a big data specialist. As a data engineer, you are a database architect, because what you do is to get data, move data from where it is generated, into a central location. All right, so when you look at the jobs that will grow, the top 10 are all data related, and it's very important and instructive that if I'm going to join a career path, I'm not going to find myself in a career path that would not grow in demand. I don't want to become irrelevant in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, with the new trends and the new technologies you have coming up today. Now, let's move to another role called the process automation specialist. And this is where you see the business analyst. In any organization, when it comes to process, optimizing processes, something that takes 5 days, making that thing that takes 5 days, reduce the time by making it more efficient to take just 5 minutes. You have to implement automation. You have to implement a software. You have to implement an application to streamline that process. And that's the role of a business analyst. And not just any business analyst, an IT business analyst. Very important. So we've looked at so many roles: data science, AI. We've looked at business intelligence as the data analyst. We've seen information security as the cybersecurity analyst, and so on and so forth. Now we move to the project managers. Now, when you look at project manager and you dissect it a little bit, you want to look into where these opportunities will be created. The project managers that will become relevant or even more relevant in the future are the Scrum Masters. These Scrum Masters, because these are the people that focuses on what? On agile implementation, agile methodologies. And when you talk about agile, you find that in the tech ecosystem. Your tech-related products, your WhatsApp, your Instagram, your Facebook, they were all developed using the agile methodology. So you want to become a project manager, or you're already a project manager today, you want to find a career path that would complement the skills you have already, so you can consolidate on that and even get more job opportunities within the tech ecosystem. And that's where you look at the Scrum Master. And of course, you also look at the financial analyst. The financial analyst. And the financial analyst, I want to talk about this a little bit more. It's very, very interesting. Why is it interesting? Look to the right-hand side. If you remember, the right-hand side shows you jobs that will decline. So all the jobs you can see here, they're all going to decline. According to the World Economic Forum, everybody can download this report. Just go online, Google WEF, World Economic Forum, Future of Job Report 2024. You can add PDF and it shows you the report. You can download it. I took a screenshot of this. It's on page 30. That's the most important page for you in this report. Now, if you look at one of the roles here, you have the accountants and the auditors. If you're an accountant today, or you're an auditor today, I can tell you that in the next 5 years, according to the World Economic Forum, your job the demand would decline. And that's why you'd find a lot of accounting professionals, a lot of finance professionals struggling to get jobs when they move to the UK, when they move to the US, when they move to Canada, when they leave their country. They're even trying to get remote jobs out of your current residence. If you reside in Africa, somewhere in Ghana, somewhere in Nigeria, and so on and so forth. A lot of the new technologies you have today can automate bookkeeping, data entry, and so on and so forth. So how do you transition from a role that will decline in demand, like the accountant and auditor, to a role that is high in demand, like the financial analyst? And this is where, as an accountant, as an auditor, you find yourself in this position. You only need to do one thing: add data analytics skills. So take accounting and take data analytics and fuse the two together, and it gives you what? It gives you the financial analyst role. I'm going to break this down a little bit further because it is very important for us to have good understanding of what these roles entail and how we can move into these roles and become more relevant in securing jobs in the future. Okay, now the final role we're going to look at is the supply chain and logistics specialist. You're in supply chain. How do you embed analytics to your supply chain role? And this is where you take supply chain. You're a supply chain manager, you're a logistic manager, you've done logistics in your previous organization. How do you tie analytics to this to make you more relevant? Okay, and I'm going to break all of these down when we look at the career path, not based on sentiments and not based on what we feel and what we hear people say, but based on the reality of the markets. What does the market demand today? Where will the jobs be? Where are the jobs today? Very, very important. So looking at all of this from the World Economic Forum and looking at what the type of analysis we have done at Analytics, we came up with the best career pathways that would help you land your job the fastest. How do you get a job the fastest, getting into a specific career path, and ensure that you remain relevant? So I'm not going to learn a skill. I'm coming there, AEME, don't worry, just calm down. HR analytics is a part of data analytics, okay? And that's where I say I'm going to break everything down to you. So you leave this session today having the knowledge to explain to other people out there that have a warped understanding of what these career paths are all about, okay? So the best career path that will help you land the job, number one. Number two, to ensure that you remain relevant, because there are so many career paths I can get into today. Like, for example, an investment manager. If you're in investments, you are in data entry, you are in accounting, you are in product management. In the next few years, your job will become less and less relevant as organizations implement AI-driven technologies and so on and so forth. So how do you remain relevant in the job market? 3 key things you need to look at before you select a career path. All right, so we took our analysis, we took the World Economic Forum, and we used these 3 common denominators to identify the career path that would first of all give you ease of learning. Ease of learning means I don't need to spend another 1-year master's getting these skills. I don't need to go back to the university to do another 3 years or 4 years. I don't need to do a postgraduate diploma that I would have to spend about 18,000 Canadian dollars or spend another 10,000 pounds and so on and so forth. So it must be a skill I can learn within the space of 3 to 5 months. Okay, so that's ease of learning. Ease of transitioning is the demand. Now that I've learned these skills, do we have demand for these jobs? How easy is it for me to transition? Very, very important. And finally, moving into this career path, I want to ensure that the salary, the remuneration is also what? The remuneration is fantastic, high and rewarding salaries. So looking at these three denominators, we came up with 8 different programs that will do what? Get you the jobs the fastest. You want to become competitive. You want to apply to jobs in Canada. You want to apply to jobs in the US, in the UK. You are in Nigeria. You want to apply to remote jobs. You want to earn in dollars. You want to earn in pounds. You want to spend in naira, and so on and so forth. And I'll show you people that are currently on that role, doing the things you also want to do. But getting into the right career path makes the whole difference. And the 8th career path, number 1, you have business analysis, the business analyst role, the data analyst role, the data scientist, the data engineer, the cybersecurity analyst, the scrum master, the HR analyst, and the financial analyst. Looking at all of these, they all tie back into 2 things. The jobs that we have seen based on our analysis and the jobs the World Economic Forum have also indicated would grow in demand. And I would explain when I move to that aspect how the HR analysts and the financial analysts are also data analysts. The HR analysts and the financial analysts are also data analysts. And I would explain when we get there eventually. So these are the 8 career paths. And I want you to take a screenshot. All right, take a screenshot. So if you have been applying to jobs, you find it difficult to get a job. You've worked as, when you were back home in your country, you were a branch manager in the bank, you were head of strategy, you were this and you were that. Now you've moved to a new environment completely and you are trying to get a job. How do you get to do that? How do you get into those roles? All right. Do you give certificates of completion? Absolutely, we do. It's internationally recognized, and that shows in the type of jobs our participants have gotten over the years. And I'll be talking about that as well. A lot of you today, what I want you to do, all the understanding, everything you've heard about, oh, I need this, I need that, I need this to get a job. In Canada, I need to have Canadian work experience. In the UK, I need to have UK work experience. Take all those things, wrap them with a piece of cloth, drop it in a box somewhere, and put that box away. Unlearn all the things you've ever heard before. And this is the time to relearn. All right? This is the time to do what? To relearn. And the reason why I say this is because you have so many misconceptions that have pervaded the ecosystem, and people have very they have little understanding of what it takes to secure the job. Somebody gets into an interview, and the moment they can't get the job, the next excuse is because I'm Black, is because I'm not Canadian, is because I don't have Canadian work experience. But these same people that say they don't have Canadian work experience, the jobs they are doing, they work in care, for example. So how does a care job get you experience to get a data analyst role? Does that make any sense to you? You want to transition into business analysis or a business analyst role, but you go to work as a cleaner in the hotel. Does that translate? No, it doesn't. Have people gotten jobs from Nigeria before they even move into Canada? Absolutely. Have people gotten jobs, their very first job in Canada, without working? The first month they got to Canada, the second month they got a job. So it begs the question, people saying that I need to have experience, Canadian work experience. So people that don't have the experience, how did they get the job? And that's why I say everything you've heard, put it into a paper, into a piece of cloth, wrap it somewhere and push it aside. And let's have a conversation about what actually works. All right, what actually works. Competence over credentials. Your certifications, your paper, your education, it means nothing, absolutely nothing. And I'll tell you for a fact, it is totally irrelevant to you securing that job. especially if you're in any of the major economies. What they want from you are two things. Your competence, which comprises of two things. Competence. And what does competence embody? Number one, your skills. Number two, your experience. You can bring any paper from anywhere in the world. You can bring a certificate from anywhere in the world. If you don't have these two, the skills and experience, you're not going to get the job. And how do they test for skills? The type of project you worked on, what you have on your CV. How do they test your experience? During the interviews, they ask competence-based questions. Tell me about a time you have used Power BI or Tableau to solve an analytic-related problem. Or tell me about a time as a data scientist that you built a machine learning model. How did you select your machine learning algorithms? And what was the final outcome? As a business analyst, tell me about a time you have managed a difficult stakeholder while working on a process optimization project. These are the competence-based questions you'll be asked, not what certificates do you have. So remove that mentality and let's move on, all right? And like I said today, what works is the conversation we're going to have. So you've seen that 8 career paths, fantastic. Take a screenshot of these 8 career paths. And I want you to tell me, based on these 8 career paths, which one would you like to get into? Just type it into the chat. Do you want to get into becoming a business analyst, a data analyst, a scrum master? Type into the charts. Let me see. Okay, cybersecurity, scrum, business analyst, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Data scientist, data analyst, financial analyst, business analyst, and data analyst. Okay, some people want to get into data engineer, fantastic career path. All right, now let's move on. Now that we've seen that I want to get into this, I want to become a data analyst, I want to become a data scientist, data engineer, as the case might be. The next question is, Adeza, I have no experience, and I also don't have any tech-related degree. How will I make it? How do I get into this space without any experience, without any tech-related degree? And how do you get this done? We have a 6-step approach. We call it the 6 pillars of job success. The 6 things you must do if you want to transition. So these are practical steps that you must implement for you to transition into the space. Now, what must you look out for? Number 1, you first of all identify the role you want to get into. So many of you have done that already. Oh, I want to get into data analytics. I want to become a business analyst, a scrum master, a cybersecurity analyst, a data engineer. That's number 1. What do you want to do? And you are laser focused to achieving that particular goal. So this is the first thing. If you have a pen and paper, please ensure that you write this down as we walk through our session today. Identify your target role. Once you've identified the role, the next step is to what? Start learning. The most difficult step is to start. A lot of people have joined the Tenalytics Masterclass since January, even since last year. But the most difficult step is what? To start. You must start learning the skills. Like I mentioned, the most important thing in your career in the major economies, the reason why you haven't gotten a job is because of your competence, your skills, and experience. So after you've identified what you want to do, the next step is to what? Start educating yourself, okay? Join a learning platform that would serve as a learning partner. And what do I mean by a learning partner? Somebody that will hold your hands and walk you through the nitty-gritty. What do you start with first? What do you move after you've completed A? What is B? Where do you move into? What do you need to do? From B, what next? So you need to have a structured learning approach, and you must have a learning partner that will walk you through that approach. So second step is to what? Educate yourself. Number 3 is to gain project-based experience. I can't overemphasize this. If there is anything that I can say is super important, your project-based experience. Why is this important? Now, so many of you are currently in a different career path entirely. You haven't worked as a data analyst anywhere before. So how do you show that you are competent? How do you show that you have the skills and you also have the experience? Yes, you've educated yourself. How do you now show that you have the experience? You need to work on what? On projects. You need to work on what? Project, and not just any type of project. You need to work on end-to-end world-class projects that would show the depth of your skills in that particular career path. And also join internships. Okay, you must have projects under your belt, and you must also join internships. So you've identified your skill. You've said, I'm going to become a data analyst. You start learning the skill. You have a learning partner that will tell you that these are the skills you need to learn. Once you've learned these skills, you must also go through an internship, work on end-to-end projects, and have that within your portfolio. Once you have that done, you must also develop employability skills. I want you to remember this formula today. T plus E. T plus E equals getting the job. Okay? T plus E equals getting the job. T is for technical. E is for employability. You can't get a job with only one of either T or E. You must have the two. So as you learn the technical skill, you've worked on projects to show that you have the skills to do the job. Recruiters can see that if they employ you today, you can do the job on day one. You don't need to have to go through any other training. You don't need to have to do anything else. You can do the job on day one. That would show from your project. But how do you convince those recruiters or potential employers? And that's where your employability skills comes in. You must have a tailored CV, a CV that gets you into the room, a CV that represents you even better than you look, because your CV is your paper representation, all right? Is a representation of you in paper format. So before these recruiters or employers get to see you, they'll see your CV. Do you have a CV that can pass through the ATS system? Do you have a CV that is tailored to the job you're applying to? So when recruiters who only have 6 seconds, it takes recruiters an average of 6 seconds to browse through your CVs. Would they see the things that they need, which matches the role they want to recruit you for? And these are the things you need to take into consideration. And these are the ways we at Analytics also help you to ensure that you have the E, which is the employability skills. You must have an optimized LinkedIn profile, your social proof, your persona, your professional persona online. So when I look at your CV and I see your LinkedIn profile, they must match. You must have some level of convergence between who the person is on paper and who the person is on LinkedIn. You must also have the ability to sell yourself during interviews. Like I mentioned, you can be the best in Excel. You can be the best in the use of Python, but if you can't sell yourself, you can't answer simple questions like introduce yourself. Can I get to meet you? Can you walk me through your CV? These are different ways of asking you the same question of introduce yourself. And we have an approach, a technique to answering these questions. You must have this. If you don't, you would struggle to sell yourself and get that job. You must also have an Upwork profile. For those of you who want to get work remotely, you want to work on different projects across different regions. So you must develop employability skills. Very, very important. You must also join a community. You must network. And I'll show you the power of networking. All right? The power of networking and how joining a community like the Tenalytics community plays a big role in you eventually securing that job. I'll show you a real life practical example that just happened last week. Okay, so let's go into it. Now, before I showcase what I want to show you, this gentleman got a job last week. I showed you his picture at the beginning of my presentation. His name is Steven. Steven got this job. Now, the recruitment agency also wants to hire 2 more people. So Stephen, we had written recommendation and reference letters for him. He had secured the job. And the recruitment agency, because of the way he performed so well, they asked Stephen if he knows any other person that is as good as himself and recommend them. Stephen got back to me to ask me, Adeza, can you give me the CVs of 2 people? I want to recommend them to this recruitment agency. And all we did was to send the message across to our community, because you've been a WhatsApp community. We also have a LinkedIn community joining any of our programs. So we sent it to the community and people applied and we sent the CVs across. Okay, so this is Stephen sending me a message. He had applied to the role. He had asked for a reference. All right, and this is Stephen saying, hello, sir, it's Anointing Stephen. I want to say a big thank you for providing me with the reference. Okay, so he had done his interviews, done all the things he needed to do, and he needed a reference to get this job secured. And he was telling me that once I secure the offer, I would like to give insights and testimony in any of the mentorship sessions, because we have mentorship and we bring in people who have gone through the system, our program, they've gotten jobs. We bring them back to hold your hands and show you what works, what they did that got them the job eventually. All right. So he sent me a message last week, Wednesday, to say, hello, sir, I'm writing to tell you that the job has been secured successfully and I'm starting next week. And I replied, congratulations, Stephen. This is absolutely amazing. Now, Stephen sent another message simply telling me that, look, I am still getting offers, but I don't know who I can recommend. If you have anybody who's solid enough that I can recommend, please send them to me. Now, this particular job was very location specific. They wanted somebody within the Scotland area. So somebody either in Aberdeen, in Edinburgh or Scotland, or in Glasgow, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I told him absolutely I'll share some solid CVs with you. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we got CVs from people. We got CVs from people in Aberdeen, Glasgow, and Edinburgh, and we sent those CVs across. And this is the power of being in a community. This is one out of so many other similar stories. People in organizations, an opening becomes available. Your classmates would be the one to provide that and send you that opportunity that this role is open. I know that you have the skill to get the job done. Go ahead and apply. And this is the power of joining the Tenalytics community, a typical practical example. And I'm going to show you Stephen's profile, how Stephen transitioned from a customer service role to becoming somebody who got a job as a data analyst and also recommending other people to also get similar jobs. And finally, you also want to be part of a mentorship program. And these are the 6 pillars of success. You first of all identify what you want to do and be laser focused. Data analytics, business analysis, data engineering. You decide, you start learning. You must gain project-based experience. And let me tell you very quickly how I moved from financial services to energy. I had never worked in the energy sector, oil and gas or power. I had always worked in financial services. But I wanted to get into energy because that's where the money is. The money is in energy. The money is in oil and gas. The money was, at that time, about 10 years ago, the money was in energy, was in oil and gas. And I wanted to get into the ecosystem as a data analyst. What did I do? I started working on projects. Any project that is energy related, any data set I could find, I started working on projects. Those projects were the things that helped me secure the job because I had no experience in energy. I had no experience in the power sector. I had no experience in oil and gas. But when I got into the interview and they asked me questions that were energy related, I could speak from a point of knowledge because I had done it before. I had worked on projects. And when I showcased the type of projects I had under my portfolio, I had used Power BI to build and create. They were so impressed that I got the job, okay? And these are the same strategies we've put together For our participants who have also gotten jobs, just like Steven, all right? How do you do the same? You must show recruiters, and I'll show you what a portfolio looks like practically. What does a portfolio look like? When you build your own portfolio after joining us, what would your portfolio look like? I'll show you that before we leave here today. So you have a clear understanding that recruiters would want to see that you can do the job. That's the most important aspect. Once you do that, you must also know how to sell yourself with your employability skills. You must know how to answer questions in interviews. Start with small talk. What type of person are you? You love to ride bicycles. How is the weather today? How is the weather and where you're coming from, and so on and so forth. So that you start with small talk and you are able to warm yourself up to them. One major important skill that people always underestimate during interview is what? Likability. Likability. If you're not likable, people would not hire you because they're going to work with you, and they want to work with people that they know they can easily communicate with, they are warm to them, and so on and so forth. Then you must also network, all right? You must join online communities like the Tenalytics community and mentorship. Mentorship would save you 2 years. It took me about 2 years to transition, myself and the co-founder. It took us 2 years. Why did it take so long? We were trying to do it on our own. So I'd go on YouTube, I'd go on Coursera, I'd go on Udemy to try to learn, but I wasn't moving anywhere. I was learning things that were irrelevant to my career, things that I learned skills I've never used in the last 10 years. So I wasted 2 years of my life trying to transition, something that should have taken me just about 4 months to get all the things I need and start applying to get a job. And this is where mentorship comes in. You don't make that same mistake. We've learned from all that mistake. We know what works because we've applied it across different regions. And these are the strategies you also embody and helps you to land jobs in the tech ecosystem. If you follow these 6 pillars, you can't make a mistake transitioning. Now, the big question is, how do you get into this career path? For those of you that want to become data analysts, that want to become business analysts and so on, how do you get into this particular area? Okay. Okay, I'm seeing some questions. I don't have a computer background. I would like to start only if you can help me out. Like I said so many times, John, nobody had computer related or computer background right out of the womb or out of the university. You learn the skills, and these are skills anybody can learn. That's why tech is heavily skill related. It's a skill-based ecosystem, and anybody can learn the skill. What we've done is to also make the curriculum beginner friendly. Okay, we are looking for people like you who are beginners, who are starters, who has never done this before. And I'll show you how you're going to get into that. So first of all is the business analyst role. We're going to start with that. So as a business analyst, for those of you who want to get into business analysis, how do you do this? Like I mentioned earlier, the business analyst focuses on what? On process within the organization. You want to know how to map out processes that currently exist within the business. A business is manual, it is not efficient. It does things that should take 5 minutes, it does it in about 24 hours or 48 hours. How do you streamline that process? Okay, one of the first things you need to learn is to have a flavor of data analytics as a business analyst. So you're going to learn Excel, Power BI, and SQL. That's the very first thing you would learn. Why is this also important to a business analyst? You'd see a lot of business analyst programs out there, but they don't have Excel, they don't have Power BI, and they don't have SQL. But you are at a disadvantage if you don't have this. Why? As a business analyst in today's world, in 2024, there are so many roles that are open and are available to you. Roles like the business data analyst role. And why is this important? For somebody as a business analyst who also has data analytics skills, you can apply to jobs as a business data analyst, as a business systems analyst. So you're not constrained to only one career path. You have so many career paths you can apply to. And that's why you must always have a flavor of data analytics in the skills that you have today. And that's why you start with that. You start with Excel. You go to Power BI, you learn SQL, and these are the first set of skills that you learn. The business analyst also has business analysis skills and project management skills, because you've looked at a process from the beginning and you've seen that to streamline this process, to make this process more efficient, I must implement some level of automation. There must be an application, there must be a software. So let's assume currently in the HR department, people want to go on leave. They have to send emails to go on leave. They have to write a memo to go on leave and so on. So the process is very manual, okay? How can you deploy a HR management system within that organization so you can even gather data on people that have gone on leave? You can streamline that process. Ordinarily, that would take so long to get approval. It now takes just 5 minutes to get done. The business analyst would have to recommend that and manage the project of implementation. Are we building the application or are we buying the application? What are the different requirements we need to get this application or software implemented? These are the things the business analyst would do in an organization, and you would manage the project from the beginning till the end. So you must understand project initiation planning. These are your project management skills. I'm just going to write project management skills. You must also understand Agile and Scrum for projects, because most of the projects you manage are tech related. You build an application, buying software, building software, and so on and so forth. You would be the business analyst managing the project. Software development lifecycle, understanding how is a software planned, how is it designed, how is it built, how is it deployed, how is it maintained. For you to manage a project that is software related, you must also understand the software development lifecycle. All right. You would then understand process mapping using tools like draw.io, using tools like Lucid Charts. Very, very important. Once you've learned process mapping, you can map out a process, the as-is process, the current process. You look for the gaps, you look for the inefficiencies and recommend what the future process should look like. The to-be process using draw.io, Lucid Chart, and the rest. You must also understand requirement fundamentals, elicitation, asking the right questions to get answers to the problem you're trying to solve. Stakeholder management, stakeholder analysis, stakeholder engagement. As a business analyst, you do a lot of stakeholder engagement. You would set up workshops, you would set up focus group sessions. You are a change agent in that company. When you are implementing a new software, a new application, how do you ensure that people can use that application and the application achieves its objective? You need to go through a change management process. So you'd set up training sessions, you'd set up workshops, focus group, and so on and so forth. And during projects, you would also manage stakeholders, know the right way to communicate, know the right way to engage. And that's one of the major functions of the business analyst. And of course, you'd also learn AI for business analysis. You saw from the World Economic Forum that AI is a critical part of the future, even our today and the future. So you need to know how to use tools like ChatGPT for prompt engineering, knowing how to write the correct type of prompts that gives you the right results that you need. Okay, what's the timeline for learning this? 4 months. 2 months working in class, 2 months project-based learning. You are learning all these concepts in class for 2 months, and you have another 2 months for your project. Now, if you remember what I mentioned at the beginning, project plays a major role in you securing the job. And this is where all the mindset of certificate is negated 100%. And I'll tell you personally, I have seen so many people, they have certifications. Give them the job today, they don't know what to do as business analysts. They don't know how to map out a process. They don't know how to use Microsoft Visio, Lucidchart, Draw.io, diagramming tools to map out processes. They don't know how to carry out a SWOT analysis. They don't even know what it means. They don't know how to use Excel, Power BI, and SQL. All right? How relevant would your certificate be in that regard? And that's why for us, we don't just focus on the technical, we also focus on you getting the practical application of getting the job done on day one. And this shows in your interview. I've been part of so many interview panels, and it's very easy to tell if you have no experience in this area. And the only way you can gain experience is by doing what? Working on real life projects. So your business analysis project would involve you working on a web application project for a company that currently needs to automate and streamline their HR department. So their HR is very manual at the moment, and they want to do what? Streamline. Okay, so this is where you start implementing all the tools, all the skills you've learned. You bring them to bear and you start implementing them. Okay, so when you get into an interview and you're asked a question to talk about a time you carried out a process optimization project and how did you prioritize the requirements, you can talk about it confidently because you've just completed it, you've just done it, not by watching a video, but by getting yourself busy working on the project yourself. Okay, the classes are Saturdays and Sundays. So you have classes that fit your time zone. Some of you are in the US, some are in Canada, some are in the UK, some are in, somewhere in Africa, in Nigeria. You have a class that fits your time zone. If you're in the UK, Africa, you have your class on Saturday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you are in the US, in Canada, your class is from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And this is also 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the UK. So it means that I can be in the UK, for example, I can join the morning session, 11 a.m. to 1 to 2 p.m. because that fits my schedule. But if I'm busy in the morning, I can join another session in the evening for the session meant for those in the US or Canada. That would be 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. my time. So it's flexible and you have a time zone that works for you. All right. And on Sundays, your class 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. If you're in the UK, Africa, around Europe, similar time zones. If you're in the US, Canada, 12 noon to 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So the class is flexible for you to get into class and get to choose a class that fits your current time zone and your current schedule. I'll walk you through one of the major misconceptions people also have is, I cannot get a job because I don't have experience. I don't know if I can do this. It seems like it is more complex than, I understand. And what I always tell people to do is ensure that you do your own research. Okay? And this, I'll show you what you need to do very easily. Now, let's do a very quick, practical example. Let's go to one of the job boards and let's search for a business analyst role very quickly. Okay, so let's go to read.co.uk. Okay, so for those of you in the UK, let's quickly go here and I'm going to search for business analysts. All right, oh, sorry, let me use, okay, business analyst role. Okay, so you do a very quick search and you see different roles. So let's look for one that is, pretty recent. Let's check this one. This was in May. Salary, £50,000 to £63,000 per annum. Location is in London and so on. Let's check this out and let's see the job requirements. It's very, very important. Now, it is a fixed-term contract. Fixed-term contract for 12 months. And fixed-term contract jobs, these are the jobs that pays to a reasonable level that gives you, great salary and so on. This is in London. Now let's look for the key accountabilities. And this also helps to answer so many questions that you'd have. Oh, do I need to get this particular certificate, this and that? Recruiters want somebody that can get the job done. Simple and short. Key accountabilities. What do they want from you? They want somebody that will delivering business IT systems, process analysis, which are all the things I've talked about, interface between business and technical team. So when you come up with those recommendations that would help to streamline the process, the technical team would have to build those products, build those software, and you as the business analyst would manage the project, okay? Determine implication of proposed change by elicitation. Do you remember looking at elicitation? All right, elicitation. Let me just, wrap that there. Elicitation, very important part of business analysis. All right, working with product owners to assess requirements. To assess what? Requirements. If you go back to the slide, you'd see where you have what? Requirements, fundamentals, understanding how to gather requirements, and so on. Now, let's look at the role a little bit deeper before going back again. Okay, maintain requirement traceability, preparing materials for facilitating workshops. I talked about you organizing workshops and so on. Conduct and analyze feasibility studies, analyze as is business process, and modeling to be process, and so on and so forth. When you look through all of this, what do you need to know? You need to have experience working in an agile delivery environment. Now, if you go back to the curriculum, you have what? Agile and Scrum. Very important. So when you ask questions, oh, can I get a job? Or how did this person get a job or transition? It's very simple. What are organizations looking for? Once you understand what they are looking for, it's easy for you to apply to those jobs. All right. Strong process design, re-engineering skills, including process mapping tools. Process mapping. I talked about that extensively. And if you go through, you would never see anything that says what? Certificates. So where do we come up with this warped understanding that I need a certificate to get a job? Over the last 10 years of my career, I don't have a single, not one, not half, not 1/3. I don't have a single certificate. And I've worked for some of the biggest and the best organizations across the globe. And we have also helped so many people get the same type of jobs across the globe. And this is where we preach this mindset. Competence over credential. Type it into the chat. Competence over credential. Very, very important. If you don't take anything away from today's session, competence over credentials. Type that into the chat. Competence over credentials. Fantastic, Sarah. And your lab, brilliant. Competence over credentials. Always remember, your skills, your experience will get you the job before anything else. Now, to even make this a little bit more exciting, if you go to contract jobs and you select contracts, all right, this is where, as a business analyst, you get to make the most amount of money, okay? The first time I got a contract job, I really couldn't believe the amount of money that was involved. So let's take a look at some. So this is negotiable. They didn't fix the contract. Here you have 45 to 50,000. Here you have 300 to 350 pounds per day. Per day. Okay, 450 pounds to 550 pounds per day. So the contract jobs will get you absolutely phenomenal salaries. Absolutely phenomenal salaries. And the interesting part, if you check the job descriptions, let's check this, for example, that pays 350 to 380 per day. Let's go to the job description and let's look at it and see what do they want from this role. Okay, as a successful candidate, you would have prior experience as a business analyst, wealth management, and so on. Proficient in Excel, PowerPoint, and Visio. What's Visio? Process mapping tool. So if you have Draw.io or Lucidchart, you can get this done. Okay, you understand Excel. I mentioned Excel as a critical part for a business analyst. Candidate has to build approach, undertaking scoping of business analysis to identify business improvements, and so on and so forth. Ability to work with diverse stakeholders aligned with emotional intelligence and maturity. Daily rates between 350 to 380 pounds. So when you ask yourself, again, look at this carefully. I did not put this here. This is read.co.uk, one of the fantastic best job boards you can get, anywhere in the world today, especially in the UK. Did you see anything that says you need these certificates to get the job? You don't find that here. And that's where a lot of people shoot themselves on the foot, saying that I don't have experience, I don't have a background, I don't have a certificate, so I can't apply to this job. Our participants are getting these jobs every single day. Now, let's move very quickly. I'm going to move through the other parts of the program very quickly. So that's for the business analyst. Now, looking at three major roles we're going to consider: the data analyst, the data scientist, and the data engineer. And I want you to pay attention, okay? I want you to pay attention to this because people ask, what's the difference? How do I tell the difference? And so on and so forth. Who is a data analyst? Who is a data scientist? Who is a data engineer? First of all, before the data and the data scientists can do their job, they need the data engineer. Why do they need the data engineer? The data engineer, let me just call this DE, is the person that does what? Provides data. The person that does what? Builds pardon my handwriting, I hope you can see what I'm writing. Provides data, number one. Number two, the person that builds the data infrastructure. Okay, now let's take, for example, we work in a bank and the number of fraudulent transactions have increased over the last few months. So last month, between the month of March and April, fraudulent transactions increased. Customers calling left and right, somebody hacked into my account, and so on. So let's say increase in what? Fraudulent transactions. Now we need to solve this problem because this is a problem in any organization, especially in the banking industry. For you to solve the problem, you need to know, where are these fraudulent transactions coming from? Okay, so the data analysts, let's call them the DA, and the data scientist, the DS, needs data to answer these questions. Where are the fraudulent transactions coming from? They need the data. Now, the bank has so many different data sources. For some of you, you have your mobile application on your phone. So you have the mobile app. Let's call this app. Okay, you carry transactions out on the web. You have the web application as well. You carry out transactions on POS, ATMs, and so on. But let's leave these three. Now, whenever transaction happens on the app, the transactions are recorded. Those are data recorded from the app. The web, the same. The POS, the same. The data engineer is that person that creates something we call a data warehouse, so that all the transactions and all the data generated from the app moves into the data warehouse by creating something we call ETL pipelines. So you see why the data engineer pipelines. So you see why the data engineer is very important. They make the data available. They also create pipelines from the web transaction into this data warehouse so that data flows from these sources into that central location. Same with the POS, create ETL pipelines. Now that the pipelines are created and there is a central location where the data is available, the data analyst can connect, analyze the data scientist can also connect and analyze the data. And that's the importance of the data engineer. The data engineer does what? Creates ETL pipelines. What are ETL? What is ETL? E is for extract, which means there are data in the web, data in the app, data in the POS, data in ATM. I need to extract the data from those sources. T is for transform. If the data is in a particular format, I need to make the data in the right shape for analysis. The people that will use this data need the data to be in a particular structure. So I must transform the data coming from different sources into a uniform shape prepared for analysis. And of course, L is for what? Load. So once you've extracted, you've transformed, you now load the data into the data warehouse. And that's where the data analyst, the data scientist can get into that data warehouse and analyze the data. So the data engineer does what? Provides the data. And the data engineer is the one that builds the data infrastructure. The ETL pipelines, moving the data into a central location called the data warehouse, simply put. Now, the data analyst and the data scientist, if the data engineer provides, what do they now do? Do they do the same job or do they do different jobs within their purview? Now, let's go to the data scientist and the data analyst. The data analysts and the data scientists, on the other hand, they have access to the data right now, okay? So they've connected to that data the data engineer has provided, but what do they do? The data analyst does something we call descriptive analytics, okay? Let me just take this out. Does something we call descriptive analytics, okay? The data analyst also does something we call diagnostic analytics. So this is TICS. What is descriptive? What is diagnostic? You might, get confused and say, oh, this sounds too technical. But these are technical jargons that makes it seem like it's so difficult. Descriptive analytics is what you do to answer the question, what happened? Every organization wants to know what happened. Whoops, sorry, my pen just dropped. So what happened? Now, you run a business, you made revenue from January, February, March, April, May. So let's say we have something like this. Okay, January, February, March, April. Okay, January you made about, let's say 500. February you made about 700. March you made 200. April you made 900. Descriptive analytics is where the data analyst takes data the company generates and shows what has happened in that company in the last few days, the last few months, the last few years, working with historical data from the past. So what happened in January, what happened in February, in March, April, and May. So the data analyst would come up with, some visuals that looks like this. Okay, so in January we had 500. It increased to 700 in February. You want to know if this happened. Why did we have an increase? Why did we move from 500 to 700? Why did we drop from 700 to 200? And why did we increase again to 900? Because if you know why things are happening, you can double down on that. If you know why you increase from 200 to 700 between March and April, you can say that same thing we did, let's rinse and repeat. Let's double down on it. If we had more sales promotion, let us have even more sales promotion so we can keep on increasing. So that's a good problem. If you know the reason why you dropped from 700 to 200, you can then stop doing those things to ensure that you don't have any decline in revenue. So when you see what has happened, which is what you can see on my screen, the next question is why it happened, or why did it happen? So these are the two questions the data analyst must ask and answer in any company. What happened and why it happened? What happened is descriptive. Why it happened is diagnostic. So diagnostic is you are diving deeper to see why you had a decline between February and March. You are diving deeper to find out why you had an increase between March and April. So that's diagnostic analytics. Going into the data, diving deeper to find out why what happened. Now, for the data scientist takes it a step further by doing something we call predictive analytics. So you see that data. So let's say, let's attribute it to the problem we're trying to solve. Fraudulent transactions. So in the month of January, we had 500 fraudulent transactions, 700 fraudulent transactions, 200 fraudulent, and 900 fraudulent transactions. Why did we have fraudulent transactions? So you want to find out and see patterns in the data that can tell you. And one of the things you saw was all these fraudulent transactions happened at around 4 a.m., between 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. every morning. That's when you had the fraudulent transactions. The data scientist now takes it a step further with predictive analytics to answer the question, what will happen? So now the data scientist is looking into the future, not looking at the past anymore. You've looked at the past to see what happened. You've looked at the past to see why it happened. Now you want to see what will happen in the future. And this is where you start to build your machine learning models. Okay, you must understand statistical modeling. Okay, statistical modeling, so you can forecast and see what will happen in the future. So predictive analytics is the major difference between the data analyst and the data scientist. Very, very important. Okay, so when you look at these two roles, when they get data from the data engineer, they can answer what happened, why did it happen, and the data scientist, where they are different from the data analyst, is they can answer what will happen in the future. And this gives you a different set of skills. So for the data analyst, you understand problem solving, which is the foundation of any type of problem you're trying to solve. How do you break problems into multiple parts? How do you get to the root cause of a problem by carrying out root cause analysis? How do you know how to structure and prioritize the problems to face? How do you use different techniques and tools like the McKinsey-Mason model, the CRISP-DM framework, and so on and so forth? So before you start using Excel or Power BI or anything, you want to ensure that you are solving the problem using the right data, the right tool, the right technique, and you are not just solving the symptoms of the problem, you are solving the roots of the problem because you've done your root cause analysis. Now, after problem solving, you move into Excel. You learn SQL, structured query language, which is a common denominator across any data role. If you are doing anything related to data, SQL becomes important because interacting with databases is where the data is stored. The data engineer would get data from the web, the mobile app, the POS, the ATMs, moves that data into a data warehouse. As a data analyst, for you to interact with that data, connect with that data, you must understand SQL. You would also learn Power BI for data visualization and Tableau for also data visualization and business intelligence. And then you learn data storytelling. So data storytelling is where you understand how to tell the story from the analysis you've done. Your CEO, who would take the decision from your analysis, does not know the technicality of what you've done. They don't know how to use Excel or Power BI. But how do you communicate your findings in a non-technical way so that the people that should make the decisions can take decisions based on your analysis? And that's where data storytelling comes in. Then you learn ChatGPT for analytics. And this is AI again. You must always embed this in all the things you do, getting into the tech ecosystem today. And finally, you learn how to use Microsoft Fabric for data analytics. And Microsoft Fabric is a new technology from Microsoft that organizations are currently adopting. And understanding how to use Microsoft Fabric already gives you an advantage over the competition. Okay, so and that's why we've embedded it into the program to clearly separate you from the competition for the jobs out there. How long does it take you to get into data analytics? 4 months. 3 months project-based classes, and 1 month internship. Now, the structure of your data analytics class is different from the business analysis. You don't have classes on Sundays. Your live classes are on Saturdays. So you have a blended learning approach. Self-paced on Sundays, live classes with a trainer, a facilitator like myself on Saturdays. And on Saturdays, you also have your classes broken down into the morning class and the evening class. If you're in the morning class, you're probably in the UK, you're probably in Nigeria, in Ghana, across Europe with similar time zones. Okay, and for those in the US, you have a time that also fits your time zone and fits your schedule. So 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And on Sundays, you join our LMS. We have an LMS where you have a learning management system where you watch me do it video. So you see videos created by myself, created by the co-founder, and we walk you through different concepts that you watch, you practice ahead of the next live class the following Saturday when you get to work on different projects. As a data scientist, your set of skills are different. You start with statistics, which is the foundation of predictive analytics. Remember, as a data scientist, you are predicting the future, what will happen. Okay, you'd also learn Excel, but this time you're learning Excel for forecasting and predictive analytics. You'd also learn Tableau for data analytics, and of course, you'd learn SQL, structured query language. Then you move into Python. Now, why this is so instructive is I've seen a lot of people getting into data science and they start from Python. You have no solid background. You don't know statistics. You don't know forecasting in Excel. You can't build dashboards with Power BI, but you start with Python. That's equivalent to building a house, but starting from the roof. You have to build a solid background, a solid foundation, and then you build on that. So Python would be the number 5 area you get into as a data scientist. You must have a strong understanding of what it takes to build machine learning models, to forecast using Excel by understanding statistics. You learn Python for exploratory data analysis, machine learning, both supervised and unsupervised machine learning, computer vision, GitHub for version control, ChatGPT, and GitHub Copilot, which is your AI for data science, and of course, Microsoft Fabric, where you'd also get to work with Power BI inside Microsoft Fabric. The timeline is similar, like the data analyst, 4 months, 3 months in class, 1 month internship. And your internship is an amazing one where you get to work on real-world projects end to end that helps you build a portfolio that would stand you out from the competition. Your classes are also structured. On Saturdays, you have a live class, and on Sundays, you watch your Watch Me Do It videos, self-paced at your own convenience. You don't have to join a live class on Sundays. Now, the data engineer, you have another different set of skills. Again, I want to answer a question for somebody asking about R. Python and R, are they the same? And which is more relevant? Python, any day, anytime. Okay, I would learn Python 1,000 times before I decide to learn R. And this is where I have a lot of people who are doing their masters in the UK, business analytics and so on, and they're teaching them R. Very few companies require you to use R or implement R. R is more academic and more research-based. Okay, you want to build machine learning models and do all these things. You want to work as a data scientist. What do you have obtainable out there in the job market? Majority, 95% of organizations would require that you know Python, not R. Okay, so it's important that you learn R. R is a programming language, just like Python. Python is a programming language too. For somebody who doesn't like math, success, you want to consider business analysis, data analytics. You can't definitely move into data science because data science will do statistics. But the thing is, a lot of people get scared for the unknown or of the unknown because you've always not known. You've always done mathematics or statistics in the university, but you don't know why you are learning it in the first place. And it's a lot different when you learn statistics in data science because you are implementing and applying it. your measure of central tendency, your mean, median, and mode. For the first time, you'd realize and see the application of something as simple as mean, median, and mode to measure central tendency. Okay, and these are the things that you'd learn in the data science program. But if you don't want to learn statistics, then there are other programs that you can get into. And that's why I'm walking you through the breakdown of everything that you need to learn to get into the career path. For the data engineer, you start from the foundation, introduction to data engineering, because you need to know what a data engineer does, who a data engineer is. Like I mentioned earlier, a data engineer is responsible for building the data infrastructure and providing data in the organization. So SQL and Python would be your bread and butter every single day. Okay, you learn Linux, you learn how to build ETL pipelines, getting data from databases, APIs, getting data from the web scraping, and so on. You'd learn Apache Spark, PySpark, Apache Airflow for data pipeline automation and data orchestration and scheduling. So as a data engineer, once you created the pipelines, moving data from all those sources into the data warehouse, what happens when you're not there anymore? Would data still move into the data warehouse? How do you automate that process? And that's where you do that using Apache Airflow. You'd learn cloud engineering, you'd learn AWS, you'd also learn GCP, Google Cloud Platform, and Azure, Microsoft Azure, which are the three major cloud platforms out there. You'd work on projects on GCP, you'd work on projects on Azure, and you'd also focus and double down on AWS for cloud engineering. You'd learn version control with GitHub and AI, GitHub and ChatGPT, GitHub Copilot for data engineering, which is the AI part. So what we've also tried to do is infuse AI into all the programs, and this gives you an unfair advantage when applying to jobs out there. The data engineering is for 5 months. Okay, it's a little bit longer than data analytics and data science. 3 months in class and 2 months working on an end-to-end project. And when it comes to the timeline, you also have classes for those in the UK, Nigeria, similar time zone, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And for those in the US, Canada, you have 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. On Sundays, you don't have a live class. You have a self-paced watch me do it video. You go to the platform, watch your videos, and I'll show you what the platform looks like. And these are the skills you need to learn to become a data engineer. Okay, now let's move into the financial analyst and the HR analyst role. Remember, I mentioned that the HR analyst and the financial analyst are also what? They are also data analysts. To simply explain what the financial analyst does, the financial analyst is a data analyst plus, but does not focus on different types of data, focuses on what? The financial data in the organization. Financial what? Data. So you understand the skills and the tools that a data analyst also knows how to use. For example, problem solving, Excel, Power BI, and SQL, which are the same skills the data analyst would have. So a financial analyst understanding the use of data analytics tools can get a job as a data analyst. But a data analyst can't get a job as a financial analyst. Why? Because the financial analyst focuses on what? On financial records. Every organization needs a financial analyst, either a commercial organization or even a not-for-profit organization. So how do you ensure that companies make the right investment decisions? How do you ensure that companies understand the implication of several regulations? So scenario and sensitivity analysis. When governments or when the regulators come out with a regulation in that industry, how does it impact the business? How do you allocate capital to different projects from a data-driven perspective? So these are the things the financial analyst will do. And that's why the financial analyst is a data analyst that focuses on what? Financial data. So you're going to learn accounting fundamentals. You'd learn how to, analyze data with Excel, Power BI, analyzing the financial statements, and so on and so forth. So you learn different ratios to use to measure the performance of a business, the return on investment, the return on equity, profitability metrics, and so on and so forth. You'd also learn how to model, financial modeling, valuation, sensitivity and scenario analysis. So when there is a particular change in the economy, inflation goes up or goes down, how does it impact the company? How does it impact the industry? And these are the things you'll be learning how to do as a financial analyst using your data analytics skills. You'll also learn ChatGPT, which is your AI for financial analytics. Timeline is similar to the data analyst, 4 months, 3 months in class, and 1 month internship. And you also get to have your live classes on Saturdays. It doesn't matter where you are, there is a class for you. Okay, and on Sundays, you get to watch your Watch Me Do It videos, and also at your own pace and your convenience. The HR analyst is similar in terms of the HR analyst being a data analyst as well, but focuses on what? HR-related data or people-related data. So the HR analyst also has the data analytics skills, problem solving, Power BI, Excel, and SQL. But then, how do you use these skills and tools to understand where your best talents come from? Talent sourcing analysis, your employee engagement analysis. How do you stop attrition from a data-driven perspective? So you have people leaving the organization. How do you get the data from people that have left in the last 5 months, analyze that data to identify the factors that have led to them leaving? So if you know why people are leaving and the factors that leads to people leaving, you can then categorize your employees, those that are at risk of leaving and those that might not leave. So you can start to have things like stay interviews instead of exit interviews and reduce the attrition within the organization. So you're simply getting people data, HR data, and using your analytics tools to analyze that data to drive HR decisions. So you learn all the data analytics skills, problem solving, Excel, Power BI, and SQL. And then you move into HR and performance evaluation, HR metrics and life cycle, HR analysis and dashboarding, collaboration, and report automation using ChatGPT and Power BI. And of course, you learn building your case and creating action, and also ChatGPT, which is your AI for HR analytics. Learning timeline, just like the data analyst program, 4 months, 3 months in class, and 1 month internship. The structure of the class is also similar in terms of if you're in the UK, Nigeria, similar time zone, you have a class that fits your time zone. If you're in Canada, you're in the US, you don't have to join a class at odd times. So you have classes that fit your time zone. And on Sundays, you do what? You join the self-paced, you have a self-paced Watch Me Do It class. So you don't have to join a live class. How does this help? This is the blended learning approach that helps even people that are slow learners. So if you're a slow learner, you join a class on a Saturday. On Sunday, you have your own, you can watch your videos at your convenience. And what people even do is break down those videos, watch some of them on Sunday, watch some on Monday, watch some on Tuesday. So by between Sunday and Tuesday, you are done watching the videos and you can start working on projects in class the following Saturday. The Scrum Master is simply that professional that ensures that the Agile framework, the Agile methodology, and the Scrum principles are implemented on projects. All right, so you learn the introduction to Scrum, you learn about the Scrum team, the Scrum artifacts, the Scrum ceremonies. So how do you work together with the product owner? How do you work with the Scrum Master? How do you work with the software developer and all the other members that would form the Scrum team? You'd learn about increments, the sprint backlog, which is part of the Scrum artifact, the Scrum events, which includes your sprint planning, your daily Scrum, your sprint review, and so on and so forth. You'd learn how to implement Scrum on a larger scale in an organization. Different Scrum teams working on similar objectives within the organization using the Nexus Scaled Scrum. And would prepare you for the professional Scrum Master examination. All right. The Scrum Master program is for 2.5 months, 1 month in class to learn all the principles, learn all the techniques, managing projects, using Jira to track project deliverables, using Trello to also collaborate and track project deliverables. And you spend 1.5 months working on real world projects. You'd work on a project together with a business analyst, helping an organization automate and streamline their HR processes. And that's the project you work on. Your classes, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. On Saturday, you have a live class and another live class on Sundays, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. West Africa time. All right. And last but not the least, the last career path we'll talk about today is the cybersecurity career path. Now, you'd learn introduction to cybersecurity, understanding foundation of computing itself, networking as well, because this is the backbone of cybersecurity in any organization. What does the cybersecurity analyst do? You protect your organization system, you protect the data, you protect the network from both internal and external threats. And that's your job as a cybersecurity analyst. You'd learn information security principles, offensive and defensive cybersecurity. This is where you can get jobs in threat intelligence, where you are the one trying to penetrate the system to look for loopholes. So you try to hack into the system, you look for loopholes, and you create defensive mechanisms to ensure that other people cannot do the same thing you've just done by hacking into the system. Okay, so it's like you looking for vulnerability. You carry out vulnerability testing within the system to find out areas that are vulnerable and address those areas. You'd learn cryptography, okay, which is where you'd learn how to secure different systems, leveraging cryptography and encryption to protect the organization. Cyber threats and attack vectors, network security, endpoint security, web and application security as well, and of course, cloud security. Today we have different systems, software, data in the cloud. How do you protect all these different aspects of the business as a cybersecurity analyst? You can also get a job in the area of forensics, where you are the one analyzing and investigating previous attacks and see where and how these attacks happened. So you learn incident response and forensics. And last but not the least, cybersecurity policies and compliance, which is more or less the GRC aspect of what? Cybersecurity, the governance, risk, and compliance. Are we complying with both local and international regulations? And how are we also implementing different frameworks and different policies within the organization to protect the organization? How long does it take? The timeline, 4 months, 3 months in class, and 1 month working on real world projects. Again, the cybersecurity class, Saturdays and Sundays, you have live classes. On Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and on Sundays, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And this brings us to the different programs and the different aspects, the 8 different programs you can join that would get you the job the fastest. Now, I talked about the equation T plus E. I want to see if you are still following me. Type T plus E into the chart. T plus E. I want to see if we are still together and you are still following me. Thank you, Ruth. T plus E. Technical plus employability. What I have just shown you are the technical skills you can learn to get into any of these programs. Now, the employability is also just as important, all right? Number one, you want to understand how to have the right type of CV. I can't overemphasize how important this is, okay? Sorry about that. having the right CV. Every organization today would leverage something we call the ATS, the Applicant Tracking Software. Do you have a CV that can get you into the room? Do you have a CV that can beat the ATS system? Do you have a CV that matches the job requirements by 85% and above? If you don't, you're going to struggle to get into the room. You struggle to get an interview. Your LinkedIn as well, I talked about that. We work with you to show you how to tailor your CV. We have CV review sessions where we show you how to review your CV. We show you how to tailor your CV to job requirements and using the right formats. Usually we recommend the Wharton CV format. Okay, the Wharton CV format. This gets you the best results. Most especially, if you're in the UK, you're in Canada, and in the US. If you want to look at the best format for the ATS, it is the Wharton format. It's the safest format that beats the ATS system any day, anytime. Your LinkedIn, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, we work with you to create one. If you have one, we show you what to do to optimize so you can start receiving receiving interview invites, headhunting, emails from recruiters on LinkedIn. Upwork optimization, we show you how to build an Upwork profile so you can get jobs working in different regions as a freelancer for those of you who want to get remote work opportunities. Then navigating the job market. How do you apply to jobs? Where do you apply to jobs? Okay, and I'll give you a very good example. A lot of people don't know that as a cybersecurity analyst, that's not the only type of job you can get. You can get jobs in different aspects in cybersecurity. And one of them is what? Security Operations Center Analyst. Now, let me show you very quickly, okay? Because like I said, I want us to make this as practical as possible. Now, I want to get a job. I've done cybersecurity. And let's go to built-in. I'm currently in the UK. I want to get a job in the US because built-in is where you have most US jobs, remote jobs. Okay, so if you search for built-in, it's currently looking at my area. Let's see, built-in, majorly for startup organizations. Okay, so you'd see is one of the best platforms for you to get jobs in the US. Now, if you don't know how or where to apply to these jobs, now let's search for SOC analysts and let's see what comes up. Analysts. Okay, so let's search. So you see SOC analyst. What does SOC mean? SOC simply means what? Security Operations Center Analyst. And you'd see the roles. This was posted 17 days ago. This was posted Senior Security Analyst 2 days ago, 3 days ago, Digital Forensics, and so on and so forth. Security Analyst, and these are jobs. It's showing me based on my location, okay? So you can add your location to even get it more streamlined, okay? Show my location in Canada. You can change this, all right, to US, depending. If I change this to United States, so it doesn't use my location currently. United States. Okay, and you do this search, you start to see jobs, senior SOC analyst, lead SOC analyst, and so on, SOC analyst tier 1, and so on and so forth. And these are the ways you can get jobs. But a lot of people don't know how to search for these type of roles and where to search. Built-in is one of them. I'll show you people that got jobs, from Tenalytics using Built-in. Flex Jobs is another one. You're looking for remote jobs. Flex Jobs. If you just search this, it brings it up for you. Flex Jobs is another fantastic remote job portal, okay? It helps you get genuine remote jobs at companies that get it. So companies that have distributed employees across different regions, you can get jobs to work for them and so on and so forth. And this is where navigating the job market becomes very important. We have practical sessions to show you where and how to apply. When you eventually get offers, how do you prepare for interviews? You can't sell yourself. If you're asked the question, can I get to meet you? Introduce yourself. Walk me through your CV. What you're simply saying is, tell us about yourself. But how do you answer that question? I've seen a lot of people mess up. But there's an approach you need to take. called what? The SEAT approach. SEAT. What does SEAT mean? S is for your skills. You first of all talk about your skills. E is for experience. Okay. A is for your achievements. And T is for your type of person or your traits. Type of person, person or traits. How do you use techniques like this to answer questions? If you're asked a competency-based question, competency-based questions carries the highest mark during interviews. Put this at the back of your mind. Questions like, tell me about a time you've managed a difficult stakeholder during a process optimization process. Those type of questions carries the highest mark because this is where they're trying to assess if you have done it before. So how do you prepare? So we work with you, we schedule interview preparation sessions, and then we walk you through what you need to do. Once you've gotten an interview invite, we request for your CV, we request for all those details, and we walk you through. You saw Steven's message to me saying, oh, thank you, I've secured the job. We prepared him for the interview, we walked him through, and finally, we wrote reference and recommendations for him. Because these organizations would want to, associate you or want you to associate yourself with an organization in that area. Where have you done this before? Where have you worked as a cybersecurity analyst? Where have you worked as a business analyst or data analyst? And this is where 10 Analytics writes the most compelling references and recommendations. We have our weekly mentorship sessions where we also hold your hand. You have myself, you have the co-founder, and we walk you through different aspects to get jobs, if you are getting rejections, the reasons why, and to also show you sometimes that rejections happens to the best of us. So you don't need to worry. A lot of people get their number one rejection and they feel they go back into their shell. I'm not good enough. I can't get the job. But that's not what the case is. And you need somebody to tell you and push you to always keep applying. You have on-the-job support. Now you've gotten the job. It is time for you to perform. You find yourself in a particular project, on a particular project that you find a little bit difficult. You know you have 10 Analytics to work with you to ensure that you get that done. Okay. And finally, our promise to you, what has made our participants so successful over the years are these set of strategies. You see this page, screenshots. If you lack any of them, you know that you struggle to get a job. And this is where we do our best work. After learning the technical skill, this is your E in the T+E equation, technical plus employability. And we give you a guarantee job interview 1 month after you complete your program. So the moment you complete the program, we guarantee that you get an interview, 1 interview after you completed the program. And you're likely going to get so many more. We're just being conservative to say that with all the work we put in place, you will get that job interview and we will prepare you for the interview. And that's the process to landing a job. Okay. As we wrap up our session today, again, I go back to the same quote. It always seems impossible until it is done. Biola also was an accountant. Again, like I mentioned, he joined a session like this and he got to hear that, wow, as an accountant, I need to do more to get a job in the UK. He joined our data analytics program, and today he works with one of the largest financial giants in the UK as a financial analyst. Olugbemi as well, a banker in Nigeria, one of the biggest banks in Nigeria, moved to Canada. The month after he moved to Canada, he secured his job as a business data analyst. We worked with him, prepared him for his interview, mentorship, and provided reference to the organization in Canada, and he secured his job. Michael joined our data engineering program, and today Michael works as a sales engineer for a software company in the UK. Muhyiddin currently resides in Ibadan, Nigeria. He works for BBX in the UK as a business development analyst. He's working remotely from Ibadan in Nigeria, earning in pounds and spending in naira. Okay, what we've also done, like I mentioned earlier, we brought people like Muhyiddin back to become body mentors. The body mentors are the mentors that have done the things you've done. They're Tenalytics alumni, and they walk you through what you also need to do to make that switch. So Muhyiddin is living the life everybody wants to live, living in Nigeria, working for companies, abroad, earning in dollars, earning in pounds, earning in euros, and spending in naira. Okay, and again, our next program, our next cohort starts on the 8th of June, 2024. And so many people have been asking so many questions. What does it take for me to get into this program? Muhyiddin, bravo, absolutely. Do you know Muhyiddin Nelly? Okay, Muhyiddin, one of the most fantastic gentlemen you get to meet. And for those of you that join, Muhyiddin would also be your mentor, especially those that join anything analytics, either data analytics, HR analytics, financial analytics. You'd get to work with Muhyiddin. And the same thing that you need to get a job, the way he has also done it to get a job, you get to work with him as well. Once I get a job, I'll be living 6 months in the UK, 6 months in Africa. Absolutely, that's the life, Nelly. You hire a private jet that will be taking you back and forth from Nigeria back to the UK and so on. Absolutely. The next cohort starts in June. And like I mentioned at the beginning, one of the most amazing things you can take note of is what? The discount we have for you. The discount we have for you, all right? For those of you who would want to join any of the programs from business analysis to data analytics, any of these 7 programs, any of these 7 programs, all right, you get to pay the same amount. But rather than paying the full amount of either $750 or £625 or 730 euros or 1125 Canadian dollars or 900,000 naira, you get a whopping 20% discount for those paying in the month of May. All right. The discount is not also open to everyone. It's open to the first 20 people who registers from this session. Okay, and what's the discount? Instead of paying $750, you get to pay just $600. Instead of paying £625, you get to pay just 500. Instead of paying 730 euros, you get to pay just 580. Instead of paying 1125 Canadian dollars, you get to pay just 900. And instead of paying 900,000 naira, you get to pay just 720,000 naira. And the moment you take advantage of the discount, you can also break your payment in 2 installments, meaning that you pay to get into the class and you balance up 1 month after your program must have commenced. So you're paying in dollars, you get to pay only $400 to get into class, and the balance of $200 comes in a month after the program must have commenced. If you're paying in pounds, you get to pay just $350 to get into the class, and $150 a month after the program must have commenced. 400 euros to start, 180 1 month after, 600 Canadian dollars, and 300 1 month after. And finally, 500,000 naira to get into the class. You receive a welcome kit. The welcome kit contains every material that you need. If you join data analytics, for example, you have the videos and the links to download and install Excel, Power BI, SQL, all the tools, all the applications you need that will get you started. And a month after, you get to pay the balance. For the Scrum Master program, instead of paying the full amount, you get to pay also the discounted fee of $360. It's a one-off fee for the Scrum Master program, or £300, 350 euros, 540 Canadian dollars, or 450,000 naira. And that's what gets you into the program. My colleagues would share the link for those interested in joining any of the programs starting on the 8th of June. Or you can also scan this QR code and it takes you into the payment center. And I'll show you how to make payments. And then we take questions. I'll be very happy to hear the questions you have and also provide you with answers. And we close the session and have an amazing time. And I'll walk you through, I promised to do 2 things. I promised to show you what a portfolio looks like and also show you the platform and how you learn with us. and then we take questions and have an amazing time as well. So let me quickly walk you through how you get to make payment very quickly. Like I mentioned, my colleagues would share the link as well. And all you have to do is click on this link, the main start link, and it takes you into the enrollment center. A lot of people, like I mentioned earlier, they probably joined us and followed us for the last 2 years. But taking that first step, which is what? Start, is the most difficult step to take. The moment you can take that first step, the other aspect becomes easy peasy, because all the things you need to learn, to transition, to build your confidence, to ensure you can apply to more jobs, we give you that during the training and so on. One of the first things you want to do is to chat. If you want to chat with us, you want to speak with me, you want to speak with any of our customer success team, you click on this link, chat with Analytics, all right? You also have access to all the program brochures. So you want to see the nitty-gritty of what each program entails. Like for the data analyst, the cybersecurity, all you have to do is click on this link. It takes you into all the brochures. If I click on cybersecurity, for example, it shows me every single thing I'll be learning in cybersecurity. And you can see the nitty-gritty of what you learn. Okay, the curriculum, introduction to cybersecurity, what do I learn, definition and importance of cybersecurity, the history and evolution, and so on. You move into the foundation of computing and networking. You're going to learn how to use Wireshark, Linux, Kali Linux, VMware, and so on and so forth. You learn information security principles, offensive and defensive. You go through every single aspect of what you've been learning, and this gives you access. You can also click on any of the other programs, the data analytics, the data science. You see all the specifics of what you learn during the program as well. Okay, under the full stack data science, you learn statistics, introduction to data science, and so on. This shows you the curriculum and the specifics of what you learn, your learning timeline, the type of projects you're going to work on, and so on and so forth, okay? So you can go ahead and look at the brochure. And of course, if I want to make payments for, let's say, the business analysis program, I can do that in 2 ways. The first way is through direct transfer. So I can do a direct transfer to the pound account. I can do a direct transfer to the euro, to the dollar account, to the Canadian dollar, or to the Naira account detail. And all you have to do is click on the link and you have access to the payment center. Or I can pay with my credit or debit card. I choose the business analysis, for example. I click on business analysis and it takes me to the business analysis page. What I want to do is secure my discount. Okay, I want to secure my discounted slots. If I'm going to pay in pounds, all I want to do is what? I want to make the payment of £350 to secure my discount, or I can make the full payment of 500. So if you want to make the full payment, for example, you don't need to make any changes here. If you want to make the first installment, all you have to do is type in 350 and then you click on proceed to pay. You enter your full name. I'm just going to enter my name, Adeza Suleiman, and I'll simply enter my email. All right, click on pay with card, and of course, enter your card details and proceed to confirm your payment. The moment you make your payment, it takes you into you get an automated receipt into your email. And the email would also come with a link for you to register. If you have made your payments with your credit or debit card, the process is automated. You receive an email with your link, you register with the link, you get the proof of payment, your receipts in your email, all right? If you've made a payment with a direct transfer, maybe to the Naira account, all you have to do is take a screenshot as proof of payment. Come back here and click on what? Upload your receipt. Okay, and once you click on upload your receipts, it brings you to this form. This is the form you're also going to receive automatically in your email if you pay with your card, credit, or debit. And all you have to do is fill this form. Now, while filling the form, so many of you would still have questions. You still want to speak with me to say that, okay, Adeza, I'm not sure if it's cybersecurity or business analysis, or I'm not sure if I should go for data science or data analytics. When filling the form, there is a section, and I'll show you that very quickly. So if I click on next, let me just click next, and I'll show you what you need to do. All you need to do is select where you're meant to select the program you have paid for. Just simply select, I want to speak with a professional. Okay, so I'll show you where you need to click that. So you can see here that says, which program are you registering for? Here is where you select any of the programs: cybersecurity, data analytics, financial analytics, or simply, if you're not sure, you want to speak with me, you want to speak with Femena, the co-founder, or any of the industry experts to help you make that decision. All you need to do to guide you to making the decision is to select, I need to speak to a professional. Once you select this, we're going to schedule a session with you and help you make a decision by listening to you, your career, years of experience, and things like that. You make the decision, but we guide you to making that. Okay. And for those who would want to defer their program to start maybe in July, because we have another cohort in July, the difference is the discounts we have running in the month of May would not apply in the month of June for those who want to start in July. So what you can do is take advantage of the discounts today, make your payments, secure your discount slots, and when filling the form, when you get to this section where you want, when do you want to start? You can start either on the 8th of June, another cohort would start on the 6th of July, another cohort on the 3rd of August, and 7th of September. So you can select the dates that is preferable to you. Maybe you have commitments in June and you can't start on the 8th of June. My advice is to start as early as possible. The best time was yesterday to start. The next best time is today. The best time was probably 10 years ago. The next best time is today. And this is the best time to get into the tech ecosystem and to move Africans and people of the Black community from career that has little or no progression into career path where you become industry professionals. You have skills that are relevant in the next 5 to 10 years and beyond. Okay, so this is how you get to make payments. And what I'm going to do very quickly before I open up the floor for questions, for those of you who would like to unmute to speak or you want to type your question into the chat, what you want to do is I'll show you the platform. Okay, so when you register, all right, you get into, this is our website, you get into the LMS. Okay, and from the LMS, all you have to do is select the program you've registered for. So once you make payments, you are onboarded into the LMS. You've paid for, let's say, data analytics, for example. All right, so this is a data analytics class, and this is where you have all your videos. So your Watch Me Do It videos that you get to watch every Sunday when you're not coming to class, you have everything here. And like I mentioned, all the programs are designed with the beginner in mind. Okay, so this is the introduction to Microsoft Excel. And who would be teaching you? The best of the best in the industry. Your very first class, you can see Femena, the co-founder of Tenalytics, over a decade years of experience, worked in Ireland, worked in the UK, worked in health technology, medical technology, and so on and so forth. You are learning from the best. And this is where you watch your, Watch Me Do It videos every Sunday. All right. So you'd see practical application. You sit down, watch the videos, practice the things you can see Femena doing, and then you get to do what? Watch all your other videos. So you have everything here. Overview of Excel, introduction to Microsoft Excel, cell referencing. You watch all these videos every Sunday and so on. All right. So all your Watch Me Do It videos are here, every single thing. Now, your live classes, where you get to work on projects, you join another platform where we onboard you into our classroom. And let me walk you through very quickly. Let's go to the data analytics for those that started in the month of May. All right. So all your live classes, and this is the beauty of being with it on the Analytics platform. You do not miss anything because all your live classes are also recorded, just like this session is recorded. So if you miss a class, you have not missed anything. All you have to do is come back to this platform. This is your problem solving. Okay, so you have a problem solving class. You have your class recording. All you have to do is come to your class recording, watch the class recording, and everything that was done in class. Let me click on this. Okay, everything that was done in class, you get to see what was done. Okay, so you get to see what was done. You start your very first class from what is data. So you don't start by doing technical things. You start from the foundation. What is data? Types of data, and so on and so forth. All right. And then you move into more aspects of the problem solving techniques and so on and so forth. Okay. Types of data analytics and the rest. Now, this is what a typical class would look like. So you can come back and watch. You don't miss anything. Your very first Excel class, you can see you have a drop-in session. And let me explain what the drop-in session is and how it's so important to those of you starting from scratch. One of the major issues I faced when transitioning was I hit a stumbling block, maybe in SQL, for example, SQL. I write a query, but it doesn't give me the results that I want. And I don't know who to ask because I'm learning from maybe YouTube or something. And I spent another 1 week on that same problem, frustrated. I call Ifemena, Ife, I'm doing this right now. I don't know what to do. He's also confused because we are literally on the same level, learning at the same pace. And some areas I might know a little bit better, some he might know a little bit better. But the areas where we both have no understanding, we had that problem. Now, the drop-in session is created for people like that. So when you've joined a class, you've worked on your project, you've tried to do something, you're not getting that same thing. You've tried it, it's not working. You join a drop-in session. You schedule a session with your trainer, and your trainer will jump on a call with you, look at the problem you have, and tell you what you need to do, what you are doing wrongly, and what you need to do to get it right. Okay? Typically, the drop-in session happens every Wednesday evening, but you can schedule sessions anytime during the week, depending on the problems you have. You are also part of a WhatsApp group where all your classmates, myself, your trainers, your data coaches, your class coordinators, they're all in that same group. So what happens when somebody has a problem? They've tried something, is not working out, they take a screenshot or they record a very short video, they post it on the group, and before the trainer even responds, one of your classmates who already has better understanding goes ahead to provide clarity. But just in case that does not happen, you have your drop-in session where all those issues are addressed. I talked about the seats and the star approach you use during interviews. And you can see this was done where you have the seats and the star approach. Again, if you missed the live session, all you have to do, come to the session recording, click on the link, and you get to see everything that was done in that class. You can watch everything from scratch. Okay, how do you talk about your competence, your experience using the situation, the task, action, and so on and so forth, and also talking about the results. And you have practical examples to getting this done. Okay, and when we say we have project-based classes, let me show you what this means. Now, your Excel live class, let's go to this live class. Okay, so this is your live class for Excel. You have lifetime access to both the class recordings and also your self-paced videos on the LMS. Anytime you can come on the platform for life. It's a lifetime access. You can download your class materials, you can download your class recordings and watch them at your own convenience. If we go to the class material and let's see what was done on day one. And this is the difference between how you learn watching videos and how you learn watching solving problems. So you're a data analyst at Zenith Global, an international consulting firm. And what you're meant to do, you have a background to the problem and the expectations of what you have to do. So as part of the data standardization, you want to identify a method to ensure all employee names in our records reflects a uniform format, irrespective of the current casing. Okay, you have instances where you want to also assist in a targeted analysis to segregate the domain portion of email address and so on. So you work on projects to help you solve problems. All right, so this is your very first Excel class. You have your second class, you have an interview simulation session. We had this last week, Thursday, where people come, we ask them questions, and they respond on a live call. We simulate an interview so people can also learn the best ways to answer questions and so on. All right, you have your CV review sessions, Excel live class 2. Again, you have your class recording, everything is there for you. You have your class material. Let's go to the class material and let's see the case study they worked on that day. Okay, so there's a case study where you just got employed as a data analyst for a company called Horizon Enterprises. All right, what are you meant to do? You're meant to work to help this organization do certain things using Excel. Group employees based on their age group. How many employees have resigned and how many employees would be engaged, you know, and so on. You solve all this, answer all these questions using the skills and the functions you've learned in Excel. And you have all your classes. We had another interview simulation as well. And I'll show you what a portfolio looks like. How do you build a portfolio? Let me look for the link and I'll show you what a portfolio looks like. So when you've done all of this, how do you position yourself to ensure that you can send your portfolio, give access to recruiters, and they can see the skills you have? Okay, so just give me 1 second and I'll show you how you can structure, how you build your portfolio to warehouse all your projects and what it looks like. So you can take advantage of that as well. Okay, so let's open this. So 2 minutes, and then I'll come back to take all the questions that you have. I'll just show you this very quickly and why this is also very, very important. Very, very important. Okay, I'll show you why this is very, very important. Okay, because this is your proof of work and your proof of experience. Proof of work and proof of experience. So let's see that very quickly, and then let's take more questions. Okay, so there you go. Let me copy and paste this on my browser. And let's see a portfolio from one of our participants. Her name is Victoria Uchemadu. This is Victoria's data analytics portfolio. Everybody that joins, it doesn't matter the program, data analytics, financial analytics, HR, you will build a portfolio like this, warehouse the portfolio online using GitHub as a platform. Okay, so one of the projects you worked on is the ER, emergency room visits analysis, which is in the healthcare sector. So when you see our participants getting jobs with the NHS, one of the reasons is simply because you've worked on so many projects that are health related for different industries and different sectors. So you can speak to certain things that would blow these people away when you get into an interview. Now, to see what she's done really, I'm going to click on this link and it takes me into the dashboard she built using Tableau. Okay, so this is the analysis emergency room visits dashboard Victoria was able to build. You can see that by Victoria Uchemadu. Number of patients, average age, average wait time, and this was built using Tableau. And anybody who sees this, any recruiter that sees this dashboard knows that this was built by somebody who has good knowledge and use of Tableau. It's also interactive. It's not static. If I want to see the analysis for only Q1 and Q2, for example, all I need to do, I can deselect everything. You can see there is nothing showing anymore. And the moment I click on Q1, it shows me the analysis for only Q1. If I click on Q2, it shows me for Q1 and Q2. And recruiters can see this and they can tell how good and the depth of the skills you have within the space. And there are so many other projects. aviation-related project, food delivery service using Tableau. If you click on this as well, it takes you to another project, Nestle Product Analytics using Power BI, Zenith Electronics using SQL. And this is what the type of portfolio you must have that separates you and shows your proof of work, your proof of experience. Remember, competence over credentials. Okay, so let's go back and let's take questions. This is time for questions right now. I just needed to show you guys what a portfolio looks like so you know clearly what is obtainable out there. Okay, so these are the things we help you build and we help you work on. So let's take questions before we wrap up. Let's take questions. How do we get the slides for this? I'll show you, Jennifer. One of the things you want to do is to fill the attendance form and you receive the slide, okay? And I'll also show you how to get this as well. The most important thing for you, like I said, is to what? Start and be one of the first 20 people so you can take advantage of the discounts, okay? Start so you can take advantage of the discounts. Okay, so let me take questions from the first two people with their hands up. Let's take Harrison. So Harrison, I've asked you to unmute yourself. Please go ahead and ask a question. Harrison.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm in Nigeria here. I'm currently working as a HR now, and I'd like to ask.
Sorry, Harrison, I can barely hear you. You want to speak up a little bit?
Okay, can you hear me right now?
Yes, it's better. Go ahead, please.
Okay, cool. I said I am calling from Nigeria, and I work as a HR personnel. And so I'd like to, during the lecture, I think I caught two things: the data engineer and the data analyst. Yeah. So as a data engineer, can a data engineer perform a data analyst job? And can a data engineer perform a data analyst job?
Okay, all right. The answer is no, and it's a big no. And that's simply because they have two distinct roles in any organization. The data engineer is not focused on analysis. The data engineer is not focused on looking at the data, analyzing the data to tell what happened, why it happened, or using the data to predict what will happen. The data engineer is not concerned about all of that. The data engineer's role is to ensure that the data is available in the organization for all the different stakeholders that need to make use of that data. All right, that's your focus as a data engineer. On the other hand, as a data analyst, you're not focused on getting the data from where the data is generated. That's the role of the data engineer. Your role is to do what? Get that data from the data warehouse and help the company answer questions and solve problems from a data-driven perspective. So there are two distinct roles, totally. I don't know if that helps to answer your question, Harrison. All right, and somebody has asked a very good question in the chat, and I want to look for that question to answer. I can't seem to find it. It just slipped away right now. Okay, yes. Toby Loba is asking, how do you present your experience in your CV when you have not worked in a company? Fantastic question. I almost forgot to share this with you. Now, one of the most important things you want to do is ensure that you position yourself. Now, we talked about LinkedIn optimization and your CV review. How does that play out practically? Let me take you to LinkedIn and I'll walk you through what you need to do and what our participants have done that has also made them so successful. Okay, and let me use case studies, real case studies of people that have gotten jobs. So let me start with Ramat. Okay, and I'll tell you a bit about their story. So Ramat used to be a customer resolution agent back in the UK, working with British Gas. Okay, so I'll click on Ramat's profile, and this takes me to Ramat. Now, Toby Loba, one of the first things you would see is you both worked at Analytics. You position yourself. And this is why I say that if you don't know what to do, you'll search for that job for a very long time. So one of the things you want to do is showcase to potential employers that you have done this before. You didn't just learn in 4 months. You didn't just learn in 3 months, because guess what? The same set of skills you just learned are the same skills you would apply on the real job itself. So what you do, if you look at Ramat's profile, what do you see here? She worked with Analytics as a what? Business analyst consultant. If you're in data analytics, you're going to position yourself as a data analytics consultant or a data analyst, as the case, you position yourself based on your current career path. And Ramat has positioned herself as a business analyst consultant working with us. And this was what she used to get this job as a business architect with the NHS in the UK. Also, full visa sponsorship. Okay, now let's go to somebody else's. And this is what you'd have on your CV as well. So it doesn't matter what you've done in the past. Let me show you the profile of a teacher. Let me see. Her name is Taiwo. Yetunde Taiwo works as a teacher, and she joined our program. And let me show you part of the things you do, which is tailoring your previous experience to what? Your current career path. So you've worked as a teacher, but now you want to become a data analyst. Can you see anything, teacher, on her headline? You're not going to see that on her headline when it comes to LinkedIn, because when recruiters search for roles on LinkedIn, these headline is what the keywords you have in there is what brings up your profile as one of the profiles to be considered. So you'd see Yetunde as well. She worked at Analytics. And if you go to her profile, you'd see that she has what? Data analyst with Analytics. If you go back to her previous experience working with Linda Gates Academy, you also tailor your previous experience to your current position. And that's why I tell people, you can't work in the hotel as a cleaner and say that you want to leverage that experience to get into data analytics. It makes no sense. So what you want to do, if you look at Taiwo's previous experience, it says data analyst. And if you look at what she's done, she used her current knowledge of data analytics to tailor her previous experience as a teacher. So anybody who sees this would see that Taiwo was able to do what? She was able to use, I'm looking for one of those titles. She was able to leverage student data, okay? Leverage student data trends to identify attendance issues and proactively offered solutions, which led to a remarkable 75% increase in attendance. So she's using data analytics skills to solve education-related problems. So if you are currently in healthcare, you must add a flavor of business analysis if that's where you're getting into, okay? And I'll show you another person very quickly. So this is Yetunde. Now let's go to Muideen, who recently got a job, lives in Ibadan, works in the UK, working remotely. So let's go to Muideen's profile, all right? Again, you'd see that Muideen worked at Analytics. So you can get a reference from us, and the organizations would reach out to us, we write a reference for you, and this helps you secure the job. Now, looking at Muideen's profile as well, you'd also see he worked with Analytics as what? A data associate, and also a data collection specialist. You can see that, right? You'd also have this on your CV. And he used this to get a job. He started this job in February, so he's pretty recent. Got a job this year in February, currently working as a business development manager. And what is he doing for this company? He's using the data they generate from their CRMs, their Salesforce to do what? To help them identify the customers that are likely going to patronize and buy their services. So customer segmentation using analytics. That's what he does for this company in the UK, currently working there and leveraging his experience with us at Analytics. Okay, I can go on and on and on for all the people that have gotten jobs, and you see the similar experience. Let's check one more person and then we'll leave here and I'll take more questions. Oluwadamilare, okay? Oluwadamilare is also very recent, got his job last month in April. And you'd also see that he worked at Tenalytics. And the recruitment agency reached out to us to provide a reference for Damilare. Damilare works as a sustainability data analyst. He joined our data analyst career path, okay? And you'd see it says data analyst contracts. So you're either a contractor, you are a consultant with analytics, and so on and so forth. All right. And that's how you make that transition eventually. Okay. I hope that answers your question. And just like these amazing professionals on LinkedIn that I've shown you, there's so many more. And I'll show you where and how to get access to look at what they've been able to do and how they've been able to also transition. Okay. So you have somebody like Ini. Ini joined the data science, and Ini was also able to get a job. You have Efe. Efe currently works as a business analyst after completing our business analysis program. You have Kende. Kende got a job with the NHS Foundation in Southampton in the UK, full visa sponsorship as well. You also have people like Oluwatosin. Tosin works as a fraud analyst as well. You have Benga, who works as a business data analyst in Poland. And you have Zainab, who works as a data manager. You have Ikmat, who got a job with the NHS as well. We have 52 alumni. We have 52 alumni working with the NHS in the UK. And that's simply because we've cracked the code to helping you securing jobs across different regions. All right. You have Akintayo, who works as a CFO after joining our financial analytics in Nigeria. You have Chika, who got a job as a financial analyst after joining our financial analytics program, and so on and so forth. There are so many of them. You would have the slides. You can always go back, look at the slides, and this would give you an inspiration to start. If you want to order for something on Amazon, what do? You look at the product, you go to the reviews, and then you make a decision. When it comes to proof of work that we've done in the ecosystem, you have too many of them, and all you have to do to have full access, you have them on my slides. And I've also kept a link that takes you to the YouTube page under testimonials. So you have Olamide, who also works as a business analyst in the UK, Mojishola, business analyst, and so many more different people across different regions. So let's take questions. Let me take more questions from you, all right, before we call it a day today. We have just about 12 minutes to go. So I'll take questions and then we wrap up today. I'm honestly scared of the inevitable because I haven't done this before. I just need a remote job besides my hectic schedule as a nursing student, and I'm worried this may take too long. 4 months is, I would say, a very reasonable time for you to pick up skills. All right. If you are doing it anything, I've seen a lot of programs where they say become a data analyst in 6 weeks or get into something for 6 weeks to 8 weeks. I can tell you for a fact, there is just so much you can get within a short period of time. The best thing you want to do for yourself is to start. All right, is to start. You said students get jobs few months after graduating. What happened to Taiwo? I see she has been interning for over a year. So Tina, what happens is simple. For some people, you have your LinkedIn updated. For some, you don't have your LinkedIn updated. Now, Taiwo's situation, I don't really know. I can't tell you categorically about Taiwo's situation. People get jobs in different ways. Some get jobs within just a month after joining. And let me take you back to LinkedIn, okay? Because I know there'll be a lot of skepticism, which is perfectly normal, all right? But just as you have people that take 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, you have people who also take 1 month. You have people who also get their jobs while they are still taking their programs. So let's check. And let's see somebody like Victor, okay? So Victor, for example, you'd also see worked with analytics, all right? Victor joined us joined us He did January to February 2023, and he was able to get, he was currently on a previous role with Green Africa, all right? He completed his program with us in February. And while he was still on this program as a HR analyst, he was able to land his job with Hugo. Just about a month, he was able to land his job with Hugo. Because if you look at the job with Hugo, this is December, okay? He joined our program in October, completed the program, joined the internship. The program is for 4 months, right? He did October, he did November, and December, which is 3 months in class. And by January, when he started his internship, he had already secured his job with Hugo. Okay, this is just about a month. You also have, that's a month after joining and completing his program. You have somebody like Ikmat. Let's go to Ikmat as well. Okay, so you have someone like Ikmat. Ikmat works with the NHS, full visa sponsorship. Ikmat got the job with the NHS sometime in January 2024. Okay, and you can see her program. She completed her program with us between March and April. Now, before Ikmat completed the program, and again, people also want to show that they have experience spanning more than a year, and you can leverage Tenalytics for that. So between March and April, Ikmat secured this job in January this year. Before she completed.
Hello, we can't see your screen.
Oh, you can't see my screen. Oh, so sorry about that. So sorry. Thanks for highlighting. So sorry about that. I was showing Ikmat, okay? I didn't know you couldn't see my screen. So this is Ikmat. She joined us, completed her program in April 2024, and she got a job before she completed in April. She works with the NHS Foundation, full visa sponsorship as well. Ikmat Akinyoye. Let me go back to Victor that I showed. I thought you could see my screen. Sorry about that. So let's go back to Victor. Okay, so Victor as well, he joined in October. So October, November, December. He completed his class in December and started his internship in January. So you can see Tenalytics internship. And before he even completed his internship, he had gotten this job as a people operations analyst. All right. So it's very easy to sit back and say you want to look at what people have done before you can decide to take a decision. But the best thing, like I say, is to take advantage, make a decision to start, and then all the things you need to secure the job are the things that we provide for you. And one of the things that sets Victor apart were these projects that he posted on his profile. Okay, so he had worked on Excel, he posted these projects, and the recruiters, the company saw the project and they reached out to him. Oh, Victor, can you come in to interview? We like what you've posted. Can you do the same thing for us? Okay, as basic and simple as these projects look, they helped Victor secure the job with Hugo, working for Hugo in Chicago, Illinois, in the US. And Victor lives in Lagos, Nigeria, working remotely. All right, so let's go back. And I think we have about 5 more minutes and then we'd start to wrap up our session. What's the difference between those who went to university to study and those who learn? I went to university 2 years ago, 2022, to do a master's, to have a feel good. So I studied, I did a master's in big data science in the University of Bradford in the UK, and it was a waste of my time and a waste of my money. The worst place you can learn data analytics, business analytics, data science is in a university, especially in a university in the UK. All you do are theoretical concepts, research projects, coursework, and you don't get to do the things that will get you the job at the end of the day. You don't get the required skills to get the job done on day one. All right, that's my own personal experience and the experience of so many other people I've interacted with. Okay, so if you are currently doing your master's at the moment, just know that, well, maybe you did it to Japa or something and you can leverage on that. But the skills to get the job done, you're not going to get that from a master's program, not an MSc. You're not also going to have that as an advantage over somebody who has the skill, if that makes sense. It doesn't add to your salary. It doesn't add to you even getting the job in the first place. Your interview would be project-based. You'll be given a project to work on and come to do a presentation, and that's what determines if you get the job. What's Victor's surname? Victor's surname is Oyeshino. Victor Oyeshino. He's an amazing, fantastic guy. All right. Let's see more questions. Can the account details be posted on WhatsApp? Absolutely. So this would go out to your emails. It would also be posted on YouTube. So let me walk you through very quickly how you can get access after the session on YouTube. Okay, and I want you to also subscribe to our YouTube page, because this gives you access to all the things that you need. All you have to do when you go to YouTube, search for 10 Analytics. All right, search for 10 Analytics. Okay, go to the 10, click on the 10 Analytics profile, or simply click on subscribe, so that when we post anything new, you're the first person to know. So once you click on this, it takes you to our page. Now, when I talk about success stories, when I talk about reviews that could help you make a decision, come to testimonials and just simply click on what? Testimonials. So this takes you to all the pages, all right? You see all the fantastic professionals that have joined. They've done amazing stuff. They've gotten jobs. They had an amazing experience as well. All right, you have somebody like Damilare, okay, who just got a job last month in the UK after completing the program. You have somebody like, let's see if I can find anybody here. Okay, you have somebody like Abigail, who is a business analyst in Canada, who was a carer. You can listen to Abigail as well, and all these other amazing people. Okay, so you also have access to all the videos. The session for today would also be posted on the platform. So this was a session I had yesterday, how to utilize data to predict financial performance. And we did something around predicting the price of Bitcoin yesterday, practical using Power BI. So you can watch the sessions for free, and you can learn how to use tools like Power BI and so on for free. And this gives you an insight into the type of things you'll be doing as well. This session also held yesterday, building your first machine learning model as a beginner. If you want to learn how to use Python, all you have to do is come here. Let's take a sneak peek into what we did yesterday in predicting the price of Bitcoin. Okay, so let me open this and show you.
I'm a senior product marketer
Real
at
life
Google.
practical case study. Okay, and how you can also build the same. So you follow step by step. And at the end of the day, we use Power BI and we built something like this, and we forecasted what the price of Bitcoin would look like in the next 6 months. So you can come watch all these videos. You have access to the testimonials. You have access to all the sessions, all the short videos of people. My journey so far has been really smooth with 10 Analytics. 10 Analytics solved my problems of learning business analysis. My experience with 10 Analytics has given me insights and helped develop my skill sets. I got hands-on experience on projects with 10 Analytics. With 10 Analytics, it is such an easy journey transitioning to tech. Okay, so you can listen to all these amazing people and get to hear from them and what they've been able to do. You are also trying to do what they've done. You listen to Shade. Shade got a job as a data scientist in the UK after joining us, her very first job. This is Tosin, who works as a fraud analyst that we worked with him to help him land this job. So you have access to a whole suite and a whole gamut of videos that can help you even start from where you are. But the most important thing is to get started. Okay, I'm going to see we have more questions, and then, okay, let me take this last question from Amole Elijah, and then we wrap up. Amole, please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, good evening.
Hi, Amole, how are you doing today?
I'm very fine, I'm okay.
All right, go ahead, please.
Can a data scientist do the work of a data analyst?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go back. Is that all your question, Amole? Or do you have more questions?
The second question, I would like to speak with, to have a one-on-one section, just
All
to.
right. Absolutely. So if you want a one-on-one session, just like I think somebody says, oh, I've made payments for Scrum Master or something like that. So once you've made payments, ensure you upload your proof of payments using the link I shared with you. But let me explain how the data scientist can do the job of a data analyst very quickly. And then let me hear if you have more questions, Amole. So we have a one-on-one session. Like I mentioned earlier, once you've made payments, if you're filling the form, you want to speak with me one-on-one, simply select, I need to speak with a professional. And then we schedule a session on Tuesday or Wednesday during the week to meet with you and help you answer the questions and select or make a decision if you haven't been able to do one. Now, as a data analyst, remember, I mentioned this, so let's call this DA and a data scientist. The data analyst and the data scientist would both do descriptive analytics. Okay, descriptive analytics, which is what? Answering the question, what happened? Okay, what happened? Number two, they would both do diagnostic analytics. All right, diagnostic analytics, which is what? Why did it happen? You would answer this question, why did it happen? Now, the difference between the data analyst and the data scientist is the data scientist now takes it a step further to answer question number 3, which is what? Predictive analytics. Analytics, which is what? What will happen? So predicting and looking into the future. So Amole, this is where your statistical modeling comes in. This is where your machine learning using Python, using linear regression, lasso regression, multiple linear regression, and so on to forecast and see into the future. Organizations want to know what will happen so they can plan their resources and they can plan for that eventuality. This is one of the major differences. So while the data analyst and the data scientist will do 1 and 2, the data scientist takes it a step further to do predictive analytics, which is what will happen. So the data scientist can also work as a data analyst. Okay, however, the data analyst, when it comes to descriptive and diagnostic, would be well-grounded, while the data scientist would be more grounded in predictive because this is more of their focus, okay? But you can get a job and do the job of a data analyst, all right? I hope that answers your question. So Amole, all you have to do, secure your discount, secure your slots, and then we can have a session during the week and we get to answer any other questions that you might have as well. And I hope this answered your question. Can a business analyst do the job of a business development manager? Business development is more of, I would say, marketing, okay? So while I can say yes with a little bit of a catch, which is you would have to also build some skills in marketing and, customer acquisition and things like that, all right? Blessing says, I have made the first payment for, you're not sure for data analytics or data science, and I selected to speak with a professional. Absolutely, fantastic, Blessing. That's not a problem. We will schedule a session and we'll get to meet with you either this Tuesday or on Wednesday, okay? Or if any of the timing is not favorable, we'll schedule a time that works for you as well. Okay, I'll just check very quickly to see. I want to wrap up at the nick of time, at the top of the hour. So let's see if there's any other question that I might have to answer. Hello, please check your YouTube channel. Okay, that's Elijah responding. There hasn't been any, data engineering. There are so many, David. And I'm sure I've shown that on my, okay, let me just quickly browse. There are so many on the slide, but again, I can't just walk through every single thing. All right, for data engineering, Let me see if I have this. If it's not on the slide, it's definitely on the YouTube. We can't just put everything here because we'd have slides with, hundreds and hundreds of pages and so on and so forth. Okay. More testimonials. You can see there are a whole lot. This is Ramat, who got a job after just 3 months in the program. This is Ikmat. I showed you their profiles on LinkedIn the other time. Yeah, so you have Idris, is a data engineer. He worked with Jaguar Land Rover in the UK. You have Michael, who also worked as a data engineer as well in a software engineering company. So these are data engineers that have joined the data engineering program. So yeah, I think those are two that I have. And I've also kept a link that takes you straight into the YouTube page directly. So you can have access to all the different people. All right, this is Amaka. Amaka works with the UK government as a business analyst, as a business support analyst as well. You have Stephen. This is the same Stephen. Stephen got a job as a junior data analyst with the Access Group. But then he joined data analytics about, I think, 2022. He stayed on this role. He wanted to get something better. He came back to us again because he wanted to increase his salary. He joined our data science and he was able to get another job. Let me take you to Stephen's profile. And from there, we're going to call it a day. I'll wrap up from Stephen's profile. So this is the same Stephen who recommended that I bring 2 people who live in Scotland. So let's go to Anointing. Anointing, I'm not sure if he's updated his profile yet, but let's have a look and see. So this is Anointing Stephen. You'd also see you both worked at 10 Analytics, clearly. Okay, so Anointing, you can see Anointing used to work as a customer service management professional. He got a job with the Access Group after completing our data analytics program. And you can see that he's also, he worked from July to March, and now he's gotten a job. He worked from July 2023 to March 2024, and now he's gotten another job. He hasn't, updated that yet. And that's simply because he just got this job and he's starting this week. I think I showed that in the charts from, earlier while I was showcasing Stephen sending me WhatsApp messages. Okay, and I think I'm going to wrap up my session from here. I'll wrap up my session from here. Okay, if you've had an amazing time today, I want you to type amazing into the chat. And I hope you've gotten value for your time and you've gotten value for being a part of our session today. So this is Stephen. Stephen just got this job starting this week. And this is Stephen sending me a message as well. He joined data analytics in 2022. He got a job. He wanted to do a little bit more, came back, learned data science, and now he's gotten another job after completing the data science. Okay, so amazing, amazing, absolutely fantastic. I'd love to see you all join the program starting on the 8th of June. And for those of you who would want to have conversation between myself, Ifemena, the co-founder, would love to have you on board. Can I share your LinkedIn profile? Absolutely. My LinkedIn is my name, Adeza Suleiman. Okay, once you search Adeza Suleiman on LinkedIn, you'd have me pop out. Follow me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to connect with you on LinkedIn as well. Can I have a one-on-one before payments? Ruth, yes, you can. Send a message to Elijah, and Elijah would schedule that for you. Okay, Ruth Taiwo. So when you see the link to join the one-on-one, either on Tuesday or Wednesday, Ruth, ensure that you join, and you'd also get to have a moment with me as well. Okay, thank you very much, guys. I look forward to you starting. The most important thing, like I said at the beginning, is start. Okay, if June, you have commitments, you can't start in June, you can always defer to start in July or even in August. But the most important thing is secure the discount before it runs out. Send this to a friend, send it to a colleague, send it to somebody you think can benefit from this as well. Okay, and you might just be making a difference in somebody's life, getting them started in tech in 2024. Follow us across all our platforms on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, and you'll be the first to have any updates that we have for you. Thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of the weekend and have a wonderful week ahead. Cheers, everybody, and have an amazing time.